The Cellcast is recorded in front of a live streaming audience.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Cellcast. Joining me today is a man who's going after the black sheep. Welcome, Jacob.
Hey! Ow. Well, never mind. Thanks. I was going to grab that. Darn dragon.
Thanks for nothing, you useless reptile.
Why, thank you. Let me introduce our co-host, a man who just wants to get away from all the troubles of the world and ruling a possible empire at some point, or a kingdom or whatever. Welcome, Drew.
Sail away, sail away.
Exactly.
Sail away. I don't know the rest of the song. How are you doing, Jacob?
Dude, I am doing very well. It's been an interesting couple of days, let's say
Has
that.
it?
Let's see. Me and my girlfriend, Ashley. Hi, Ashley.
Hi, Ashley.
Yeah, she'll be either watching or listening at some point.
At some point.
So me and her, we went to Dallas. We went to Arlington to go watch the Texas Rangers game.
Uh-huh.
Got to meet a couple of her, a little bit of her family. Great time. Drove back. Had a great time coming back. Sunday was extremely busy. I wound up. I'm not going to say reason why, because it's not. I'm not going to say the reason why, but I had to throw out both my bed and my box spring.
Yeah, I am curious what happened there.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that on air.
I will have to remember to ask you once we go off air.
Yes. So I have been sleeping on my couch for the last two and a half days.
You know, you shouldn't drink water that late at night.
Oh, you dirty dog.
I doubt that's actually it.
No, it's absolutely not.
But it's just a thought that comes to mind.
Oh, jeez. How's your week been?
My week has been pretty good. I did have to work some weekends this week, but nothing too terrible. Did get the project I've been alluding to for the past month actually started. If you check in the RSS feed of the podcast, which some of you probably are listening to this right now, you'll note there's a couple episodes of Untangling Kingdom Hearts in there, where I'm starting with going through all of Kingdom Hearts just a little at a time, trying to make the help understand what the story is going to and where possibly it's going. And I started in a weird spot, admittedly, because I didn't start with the original Kingdom Hearts, but I started with Kingdom Hearts Union Cross, which is a cell phone MMO gacha game.
Yeah.
Except the game itself is now offline, so all that's left is the cutscenes.
That is,
and
just
for
too funny.
reasons unknown to me, they didn't include certain types of cutscenes in there. They only included the more cinematic looking cutscenes.
Really?
Yeah. I know some of our listeners will probably know what I'm talking about when I say the paper doll type cutscenes. You probably don't know what I'm talking about, but
probably not.
In a lot of games, they'll have in order to help save, especially of those made in Japan.
Yeah.
They'll have like character portraits on the text box that will come in and out, and there'll be some like light animation that are on those. The scenes that were set up that way, for some reason, they didn't leave in the game. And sometimes those scenes are where the story is.
Yeah.
I've discovered. So now, along with watching the episodes on my phone, or the cutscenes on the program on my phone, I'm also watching kind of a transitionary into what we've been watching, because I had been watching this for Untangling Kingdom Hearts. I've been on Playframe's YouTube channel, watching his, because he has these playlists of Let's Plays called Story Mode, where it focuses on just the story of the game. He shows some gameplay to give you an idea what it's like, but for the most part, especially when you're getting to those points where you're having to the fighting gets a little long in the tooth.
Yeah.
He goes and just does and focuses mostly on the story aspects of the game. And he's done that for all of the Kingdom Hearts games that have come out so far.
Really?
He's actually working on it now for Final Fantasy XIV. He's in the middle of Heavensward, this first expansion.
Okay.
But I have been watching a lot of his stuff recently.
Okay.
And to the point now where it's like, yeah, I'm actually having to I'm now including links in the show notes. It's like, yeah, this is the primary source for.
What have you been watching?
All right. So what have I been watching?
Yeah, go ahead and tell us what you've been watching.
All right. So I watched over, I think it was Friday. No. It was Saturday. When was this? Sunday. It was Sunday afternoon. I got a call from my brother Jim, and he was like, "Hey, we're gonna go watch the movie this time." Well, I couldn't make it because I was busy. I'm busy all Sunday. Let's say that.
Right.
And we wound up watching it. I think at like 4 that afternoon in town.
Mm-hmm.
And now, I think I already said Thor of Love and Thunder.
You did not say it was Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah, I wouldn't watch.
I figured.
Yeah, Thor of Love and Thunder. It's an okay. It's a popcorn movie. It's a popcorn movie. It's like a B movie. It's not a B movie. It's like a 3-star film. It's okay. It's got some continuity issues where it says one thing and then it does the other. It's more like more plot convenience than anything.
Mm-hmm.
You have just some really good acting. You got some like, okay, this is a little weird. I like Taika Waititi as a director, but I don't like his infusion of humor in everything.
This I can see because from what I understand, I haven't watched the film yet.
Yeah,
it does kind of take away from some of the more not sensitive. That's not the word I'm looking for. Some of the more quieter moments of the film, where they're actually doing some important character development and dealing with some darker things, and then there's a joke that lightens the mood of just a touch too fast.
Yeah, Korg.
That's my understanding.
Yeah. There was a point in the movie, not saying anything about the film because it's brand new. There was a point where our main characters come in contact with a very large mythological character, and this character disintegrates a certain character. And at the point, I had the popcorn in between my legs, and I'm patting the popcorn like I'm clapping because I was so excited. This character died, but sadly, he didn't. Now he's just a head.
I take it there's a character in the film you just don't like,
or Thor Ragnarok, and what else? What other?
If it's the character I'm thinking of,
in game the whole bit
point in end game.
Oh yeah,
playing Fortnite.
Yeah,
on a PlayStation 4 in 2023.
Yeah,
proving the PlayStation 5 is still hard to get a hold of in 2023. Not that was intended, but that's what happened.
That's exactly what. Yeah. So yeah, I watched that. I feel like it's if you're a Marvel nerd, you're gonna go watch this no matter what.
Oh yeah, that kind of goes without saying because you got to keep up with what's going on.
Yeah. But it's worth a watch. It's worth having your own opinion about a film. But to me, it's like it's a 3-star film. So
would you say, if you just general rating amongst the rest of the Marvel films, like would it be like in the upper half, the lower half, in the middle, near the bottom?
Oh,
where would you put that?
You're trying to.
I'm just trying to estimate where it fits on your scale.
Oh,
I'm not even asking which movie it's above or below. Just kind of a general.
I'd probably see somewhere in the middle.
Okay,
because there are a few Marvel films I haven't seen yet, which I'll have to talk to you about. Talk to you about later.
Right there.
What?
They're all right there.
Oh, they are right there. Never mind.
And on Disney Plus.
Of course. But yeah, it's worth a watch. Worth a watch. Go watch it. Yeah, Christian Bale does an amazing job, like anything he does. But other than that, I finished because I know we are reviewing Rapunzel. I almost did the same thing you did.
Yeah,
Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure, season 2. I finished that off and just like, so good.
Almost watched the last 2 episodes. It's like, I think I will wait because, tension is a nice thing sometimes.
That is true. Yeah. Now watching.
We're finally getting back to story.
We'll get there when we get there.
Yes, we will.
But yeah, definitely worth a watch. I would definitely agree with you. They kind of started compacting all this information towards the end of the story.
Just wanting them to stretch the story out, give us more story tidbits throughout the season. Now, granted, they did at least introduce something that is a major point and had that character continue to show up over the course of the season, but you would not have known that character was anything but just sketchy until this episode.
True.
But anyway.
True. So I watched that, and I was doing my notes. I finished that, and while I was trying to complete my notes, I was like, "What movie do I'm already on Disney Plus?"
Yes.
A movie that we've already reviewed drives me
through the roof.
Yeah, it drives me through the roof historically, but it's a fun movie to watch. Hercules.
Yeah, it's in no way, shape, or form accurate to mythology.
No, it's not. But it's
mythologically accurate an actual term?
Kind of.
All I know is even the mythology contradicts itself.
Well, mythology is simply just story.
Yes, but I'm just saying the Greek mythology was an actual was a religious belief system at one time.
Yes,
and unlike
some cases still is.
In some cases it still is, but it contradicts itself a little more than most.
Oh, it does.
That's all I'm saying.
It does. Like, seriously, that Zeus is really going to care about one of the tens of thousands of kid he offspringed.
I have something interesting to bring up when we get to mine, but continue.
Yeah. So I watched that. Great movie. It's on Disney Plus. Go watch it if you haven't. Be like, if you're one in a million people I've never seen Hercules, go watch it before they do a live action version of it
and ruin it. They are working on it because I remember hearing things about how they were looking for someone to play Hades, and I'm sitting there going, just ask James Woods, he will do it. He loves the character, and I bet you he can do it in live action.
Yeah, or at least.
But I have a feeling you're not going to do that because y'all keep ruining your live action remakes. Pardon me.
We have opinions about live action films. Or at least the live action remakes.
There have been some good ones.
True, there have.
But they are the exception to the rule.
True. So true.
Anyway.
So that is all I've been watching. I did start into season 3, episode 1. And man, brother, I've got to say this.
Considering what they were hinting at in these episodes.
Oh, yeah.
And what I was and what I have been assuming this whole time, especially considering I kind of have been slightly spoiled due to stupid
internet
Disney freaking Plus screwed it up.
Oh,
because they put the picture like as album art, not album art, but the advertisement.
Yeah,
they put the thing of that.
Yeah,
tried to say it without spoiling it.
Right.
I was like, oh, I bet that means something.
Uh-huh.
And considering how negative that relationship has been going all season long. Anyway, and considering one of these episodes.
Yeah, true.
I suspect
definitely
the
towards the end of it.
Turned.
Definitely towards the end of that episode. Let's say that.
Yes, I have questions.
Yeah. Well,
we'll get there when we get there.
Agreed. But brother, I've got to say, once we start season 3, be like the first 4, maybe like 10 minutes. It's just like, because you get all the backstory, you get what's going on.
You mean the stuff they should have been talking about all through season 1 and 2?
No. This is perfect setup to where they said it.
Okay.
And it's just like I watched the first time, I'm literally weeping.
Okay.
The second time, I'm like, keep it together, bro. It's a cartoon. This is so good. Oh my gosh, my heart's breaking.
I still have thoughts about things. We'll see if my theories hold true going forward. But
it's a silly theory.
Not to the animated series section of the show yet.
No, we are not. But so yeah, be like, I'm looking forward to when we finish season 2 of Rapunzel-Tangled Adventure and getting into season 3. Okay. So yeah. So what have you been watching? Or have we done it? No, we haven't.
No, I haven't done me.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, I hadn't done me. Well, one of the first things that I finished this week as I watched the last episode, the season finale of Spy Family.
Yeah, how did that go? Since you now have the manga.
Yeah, I have the manga now. It does not, while it is the season finale, it very much feels like we just got to the end of an episode and now we have to take a hiatus kind of a thing.
Right.
It does actually do a good job of doing like a minor wrap up, at least letting you, it gives you a little bit of a resolution, not really a resolution, but a little more of the confirmation that the family is a family, even though they don't claim to be.
Gotcha.
Except to the outside world, because they still consider themselves a pretend family, but there's still a lot of confirmations like, oh yeah, this there is a good chance in future seasons I might get angry because there's something I can see coming that the manga, to my knowledge, has not even touched on yet.
Oh yeah.
And that is the fact that so basic setup.
Yeah.
The father of this family, Lloyd Forger, is a spy for the country of Westalis.
Yes.
He has to have in order for him to get close to his target, he has to adopt a child and get them into a prestigious school, Eden College, because the only time this target has ever does anything publicly where he can be found is at social events for the school. So he adopts a little girl named Anya.
Oh gosh, Anya.
And she's a trip. She's also a psychic, but she's also a 4-year-old child. And they did a good job of writing the character and having her actually seem like a child. There are so many stories, both anime and Western, where they don't know how to write children. I'm sure you understand. And this is this is actually feels like an actual child, even though both the Japanese and American actresses are not children. But the acting is very on par. And then in order to get into the entrance interview, both the father and the mother have to show up. So he has to go find a wife. And the woman he finds, he believes is just a worker in the Austanian civil service. But in reality, she is an assassin. He and those two do not know that, their partner's secret identity or the fact that their child is a psychic.
Yeah,
but the child knows because that they're an assassin and a spy, because she is psychic, but she doesn't want to let them know that. So a lot of it is them hiding these aspects of themselves, but still coming together and actually being a pretty well-made family.
Yeah.
But you'll notice I mentioned a couple things in my description there. He is for the country of works for the country of Westalis. She is an assassin for Ostania. Two sides of this Cold War.
Yes.
One is essentially because they intentionally change names of these countries, but you can definitely tell this is Germany. Or it's supposed to be Germany.
Okay.
And he was working for West Germany and she's working for East Germany. And because the capital they're in is Berlin.
Subtle.
So very subtle.
Oh my gosh.
So very subtle. And there's another thing that what caused me to realize that, because the show does not, it goes past it. It's very subtle on the fact that she's working for Estonia. But when it stuck out to me is about halfway through the season when we find out who her brother works for.
Oh.
And he's a trip too, but I don't want to spoil anything.
Okay.
So I'm not going to say who he works for.
Oh, okay.
But you wouldn't want to get on their bad side.
I
have a feeling at some point in the future Thorn Princess, that's her alias,
Mm.
is going to get a hit on Twilight, which is his alias,
Yes.
and I'm gonna be both. I have no idea who to root for. Y'all better come together somehow. Anya, you're up.
So can I say with certain, like, whenever, like, obviously we get done with Tangled and whatever,
At some point, this show is going on the animated series.
okay, all right,
This is like one of my favorite anime. Right, okay, there have been shows I've said this is like my favorite anime.
Mhm.
In most cases, if I'm thinking in reality, it's like, okay, no, there's other anime I like better than this.
Mhm.
Right now, despite the fact that the show is less than 6 months old, like it started during the spring season, so like March.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite shows, period.
Wow.
Not just anime, shows.
Wow.
Television. It is that good.
Wow.
Because it does a good job of mixing your wacky anime-ness that comes up,
Yeah.
your family slice of life comedy, and your assassin spy work. There's some things that's like I would describe as there's an episode, I think it's episode 5, that I would describe as the most absolutely ridiculous thing they could have done in the show.
Okay.
And yet it's one of the best episodes.
Wow.
Because even though it's actually filler, because it's not in the manga, from what I understand. I've not read that part. But my understanding is that whole episode is there's only like 2 parts of it that are actually in the manga. The rest of it's not. But it just shows you to what lengths he will go to.
Wow.
To actually get this thing done.
Huh.
And plus, it had been a while since we had some nice action shots. But anyway, that's a good show. I do highly, highly, highly suggest it.
Got it.
And I'm looking forward to whenever the spring, the second season starts, so we can find out what the dog they hinted at coming up is all about. Though I'll probably have already read that by the time that happens.
There's a dog?
There is a dog. The Forgers get a dog. You want to guess his name?
I have no idea.
Bond.
Of course, it's Bond.
Well, I mean, Anya is test subject 007.
True.
But anyway,
they lay the subtlety on thick,
it's
like marmalade.
It's called puns. But I mean,
true.
When you're watching the show, it's like, yeah, that's not very subtle at all. I don't care. I really don't care, because this is just so fun and good. Also, I watched 2 episodes of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. So
how was that?
It is better than probably all the other live action Star Trek shows that have started since they started remaking shows or making shows for again.
Yeah,
it's probably the best of the live action shows they've done.
Okay.
I honestly think I can't put Lower Decks or even what's the other one, Prodigy. I can't put them because they are so very different.
Yeah,
but the nice thing about Picard and Discovery are very serialized shows, like your modern serial sort of things,
of course,
and that makes some sense because it's telling one long story, and that's not bad in concept.
Okay.
But traditionally, Star Trek television shows are not set up that way.
Okay.
They are episodic.
So I do have one question.
Strange New Worlds is episodic again.
Okay. Nice.
There is a overarching story, but it only is like necessary. It's like it's one of those things where you could probably watch the episodes in any order.
Yeah.
But if you watch them in order, you get a bonus of seeing how everything fits together.
I gotcha. So I do have a question.
Okay.
Does it come with the secret toy? You said cereal.
Wrong type of cereal.
Oh, darn it.
S type of cereal, not C type of cereal.
Okay. Gotcha. Clarification is everything, people.
The only problem I actually have with Strange New Worlds.
Right.
The show is supposed to take place about 10 years prior to, I think it's about 10 years prior to the original series.
Okay.
It does take place on the Enterprise, and it is a very good make of the Enterprise. it does make sense that probably there is a refit somewhere between here and TOS, so the sets don't look too different, too strange when you make that transition from the 2020s to the 1960s production.
Right.
And Pike and Spock both do a very good job. They got the Anson Mountain. I can't remember who's playing Spock, but Anson Mountain does a very good job as Pike. The problem is over 75% of the cast or the crew of the bridge crew are women.
Okay.
Now there's going to be some people like, oh, you don't want women on the show? That has nothing to do with it.
Okay.
I like women on the show.
Okay.
I'm just saying there is an inordinate amount on this bridge crew right now that just feels like an odd choice.
Okay.
I'm not saying that it's got to, they need to cut some characters, because honestly, I don't think they do, because they're actually doing some interesting things with some of these characters.
Right.
And there are some male actors on the show too, but like I said, it's there is almost every bridge crew person they put on there besides is a female, which is weird for a show that's got to go into the 1960s and all of a sudden her as the only woman on the bridge.
Fair.
That's really what I'm getting.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Granted, different commanders, different structures, just different crew that was available at the time.
True.
I get that.
Yeah.
But it just
different
feels
errors.
It just feels weird.
I understand.
And so it doesn't really bother me while I'm watching the show, but it's just when you're thinking about it, it's like, man, there are a lot of women on this show. Far more than I'm used to, I guess, is really what it comes down to. It's not a bad thing.
No.
It's just different.
Yeah.
Other than that, I watched 2 Riff Tracks live specials.
Really?
That are on you can go stream right now. One of them was the Summer Shorts Beach Party, which is they just did a bunch of shorts.
Okay.
One of the people they had a guest riffer on that episode. Paul F. Tompkins.
Name sounds really familiar.
He's the voice of Shorty.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They had him in. He's a comedian too.
Yeah.
I mean, he's him mostly as the voice of Shorty.
Right.
And he actually he had he was a guest riffer on like 2 of the shorts, and they were pretty funny. Also, I watched a Christmas one, Santa and the Ice Cream Bunny.
Okay.
You should see the look on Jacob's face right now. Let me explain.
Yes.
The first hour of that special is just a selection of Christmassy shorts.
Yeah.
Which is all fine and dandy. The second half is a film, technically a film.
Okay.
That was made by the owner of a series of South Florida theme parks. And he had one called Pirates World. That was a very generic theme park.
Okay.
And one of his mascots was the Ice Cream Bunny. But the thing is, the Ice Cream Bunny is barely in the thing. He shows up at the very end for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
The rest of the film, Santa's sleigh is stuck on a beach. And the first half hour, and his reindeer have left him.
Yeah.
In his first half hour, Santa's going, oh, woe is me. How will I ever get out of here? Blah, 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 blah. And so he summons kids from the ether somehow. There's Santa's apparently invested in dark magic in this universe.
Apparently.
And summons them to help get these kids to help him get his sleigh out of the sand.
Oh my gosh.
Which makes no sense. And then each of these kids brings these different animals to help him get it out of the sand.
Okay.
Some of them make no sense.
Okay.
Like the chicken. Chicken's not going to pull that thing. Or the man in the gorilla suit. Because it wasn't an actual gorilla. It was a man in a gorilla suit. It was weird.
That is weird.
But the thing is, that's the first half hour. And the last half hour is the kids going off and getting the ice cream bunny in an incredibly slow scene of them getting there, because they had to actually do the advertisement for the park. In the middle of that part of the scene is the ice cream bunny is slowly making his way through there via the theme park.
Oh,
which makes no sense.
Okay.
The middle part of that, literally longer then the stuff with Santa and the ice cream bunny is shorter than the movie within a movie of this thing.
Wow.
Where they did this take on Jack and the Beanstalk, in which the guy who sold the magic beans to Jack was essentially a used car salesman. But in this case, a used cow salesman. And the giant had this gruff, angry voice when he was normally talking, because this thing apparently had to be a musical.
Yeah,
because of course it was.
Of course.
When he goes to sing his part, he goes, "Fee fi fo fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman." It's like, these voices do not connect.
No, they don't sound like it.
If it weren't for the fact that I could see it coming out of the same mouth, I would not think this was the same person doing this. It was a really dumb and goofy short, and the riffing they did on it was absolutely glorious. It's probably one of the best ones I've seen.
Gotcha.
I still need to go back and watch, though, the riff of Twilight.
Oh, that's going to be funny.
Mm-hmm. They did one of the Star Wars Holiday Special, too.
Oh, too funny.
Mm-hmm.
Too funny.
And, of course, they've done things like, The Room and Birdemic, Shock and Terror. Things of that nature. Manos, The Hands of Fate. I'm saying movies you don't know.
No, I've never heard of these.
Plan 9 from Outer Space?
I've heard of it.
Okay. Don't hurt yourself.
Okay.
Only be willing to watch. If you're going to watch these movies, watch the riff tracks or Mystery Science Theater 3000 versions.
Okay.
Do not watch it without that edge of protection.
Okay. I gotcha.
But other than that, I have actually been playing a game.
Okay.
That you might actually be interested in looking up.
Okay. What is this?
It's called Immortals: Phoenix Rising.
I've heard of this film.
This is essentially it's a Breath of the Wild clone.
Okay.
Kind of a clone of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Mm-hmm.
But it takes place in ancient Greece. Or not really in ancient Greece. It takes place in mythological Greece. Where the gods have all been... The Greek gods have all been kidnapped or captured by... not Thanatos. Typhon.
Okay.
They've been captured by Typhon. And us, the lowly peasant who has only been a shield carrier, is now tasked with freeing the gods and becoming the hero of legend.
Oh, fun.
You end up getting like different like items from different mythology, like Daedalus's wings.
Okay.
Heracles's bracers.
Oh,
and they even make...
They're actually using the...
They say Heracles. They say Heracles.
Thank you.
They say... I'm going to get to that. And a couple other things. But the thing is, the whole game is narrated by Prometheus.
Really?
Yes. Talking to Zeus. Well, Zeus is heckling Prometheus throughout the whole thing. It's this conversation that's always going on in the background. And one of the funny parts, since you enjoyed the fact that they're actually using Heracles' real name...
Right.
Zeus brings up and says, "Why are you saying his name like that?" "Because that's his name." "Well, it just sounds like a lot of extra work to me. I don't know why you just wouldn't call him her." "That's his name." Something to that effect. It's a funny exchange. And there's some interesting little things in there. It's an enjoyable game, and it is fun, and it's actually very pretty.
I gotcha. So let me ask you.
And I think it's on PS4, and I know you've got one of those.
Okay.
Because I sold it to you.
You did. I'm deeply appreciative of it. So I do have a question for you, since you asked me where I would rank Thor of Love and Thunder in the Marvel Cinematic Universe pantheon of movies. Where would
Apropos term.
Okay.
Since the gods are in that movie.
Right. Anyways, where would you rank if you were to rank all of the you're a huge Star Trek fan. Huge.
Yes.
So what would be your, if it was a series or a movie, what would be your number one, and what would be your last movie or television series?
I separate these because the movies and the TV series are doing different things.
Okay.
So I'm going to tell you right now, my favorite movie is Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country, followed immediately by Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan.
Okay.
Like they're like this close.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, 6 beats out 2 by just a hair.
Wow. Okay.
Bottom of the barrel, this might be a little obvious, but Star Trek V: The Final Frontier.
Of course.
Followed immediately right above that by Star Trek Insurrection.
Okay. What about TV shows?
TNG is always going to hold a place in my heart. That's Star Trek: The Next Generation, because it's the show I grew up on. The original series does a very good job of what it does. Deep Space Nine and Voyager are there. Enterprise is better than I remember it being when I've gone back and watched some of it. Discovery, Lower Decks, Picard, Prodigy, Strange New Worlds. I think that's all of them.
Discovery?
I said Discovery.
You did say Discovery.
Yeah. I'm trying to think because I've not really placed. I think Next Generation does end up being at the top, followed by Deep Space Nine.
Okay.
Because I think TNG, if not just for the nostalgia, but just because, in my opinion, when I think of what is Star Trek, it's that series for me. Okay. And so there is some nostalgia built into that immediately, but Deep Space Nine has got much more of a deeper story than everything else because it's still got that episodic nature to it. But there is a long overarching stories. There are goofy points, of course, but there's also some very serious, very dark, well-written television that honestly goes unnoticed and underrated to some degree by the general public because people don't want to go back and watch the show. For one thing, it's Star Trek and they think they're gonna, be missing out on stuff because they've not seen the other 2 shows. The other thing is they've still not done an HD remaster of Deep Space Nine, and they need to. But the problem is almost Deep Space Nine and Voyager were all filmed on videotape.
Yeah.
So that's a little harder to do. Unlike Next Generation, that was done on film. So there is that. Worst show? Worst show probably actually is Discovery.
Okay.
I just don't like the show.
Fair enough.
That's all it comes down to. I just don't like the show.
Fair enough.
Picard's a little bit better, but admittedly, I haven't finished Picard season 2, and it's been out for 6 months. So there's that.
All right.
Sorry.
Gotcha.
Ironically, we're talking about Star Trek, and my idiot cousin sent me a picture of a freight vessel named the Kobayashi Maru.
Thanks.
He doesn't know we're recording.
Okay. Well, anyway.
Anywho.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I've been watching and playing.
All right. Good deal.
So Jacob, I have another question. Yes. Well, not another question for you, but I think it's time for this.
All right.
The Cellcast News with your host Jacob Heron.
That's not even working. Okay. Going to be doing the hard editing.
All right.
So what do we got in the news?
All right. So I am probably going to butcher this man's name. How do you pronounce I am sorry, I am horrible at pronouncing names. But the creator of Yu-Gi-Oh!
Oh, you're gonna ask that? Like,
yes,
I know his name even without trying to pronounce it. Because I know what you're talking about.
I can't pronounce this.
Kazuki Takahashi.
Thank you.
Not a name that was in my mind. I had to look it up.
I got you. Yeah, the manga creator behind the global hit Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise was found deceased off the coast of Nigo, Japan. The 6-year-old's artist's body was discovered by Coast Guards on Wednesday following a report by a passing boat. Takeshi, what do you pronounce it?
Takahashi.
Takahashi was basically announced deceased a couple of days earlier. He was assumed he had passed away a couple of days earlier.
Well, on July 11th, they determined that the cause of death was the result of drowning, with his body sustaining bite marks from a shark. So yeah, he went swimming apparently, or snorkeling. I think it was.
Yeah,
and you do take your life at risk when you do things like that.
That is true.
It's just game time.
Yeah, that is true. Well, I know for certain, like our pastor won't even get in the ocean.
Oh, that's just him.
Yeah, exactly.
He won't jump out of a perfectly good airplane,
but he'll
that's
fly
how he,
one.
That's how he says like how he can fly, but he's afraid of heights.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
like, no, he's fine in an airplane because it's perfectly good. He knows how it works. It's like, you're still in the sky.
Yeah,
crap can still happen.
That is true. But we're not here to talk about that.
We're not here to talk about that.
just have fun about a pastor. Hi, Dr. Mike. So in other news, the long-awaited Batman the Long Halloween Deluxe Edition is finally coming out.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Where they mix the two into one, which they should have done in the first place.
Which I'm not surprised Dallas from Geek Devotions can be fun about that.
Well, I'm sure he's going to buy it.
Oh, yeah.
Even though we know he wasn't a big fan of that because of some different issues. And it's not a direct adaptation of the graphic novel it's based on.
All right. So the complete mystery with additional mature content comes to 4K for the first time ever. The rated R full-length animated movie will be available on 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray combo pack. Set at SRP at
MSRP?
No, SRP.
Oh, still the suggested retail price.
Yes, suggested retail price $34.99 in the United States for the first time. It'll be also on Blu-ray for $24.99 and also in Canada starting September 20th. All right, so this is a little bit of this was interesting. Apparently there's a new book out called The Disney Revolt, The Great Labor War of Animation's Golden Age.
Okay.
By the animation historian Jake S. Friedman, which basically chronicles the Union War fought by animator Art Baldwin and the animator strike of 1941. It's available now for purchase. I think you can find it anywhere. But yeah, if you're interested in Walt Disney animation history, it'd be sound like something good to talk about. So in the last bit of news, there's another Turtles film coming out.
Of course there is.
Yeah, this one's coming to Netflix. This was I've actually watched a few episodes. This wasn't half bad. This is interesting. This was very, very interesting. Netflix has debuted the furiously action-packed, fun, funny, and future-ish trailer for the this is their phrasing, turtly awesome 2D feature Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the movie. The half-shell heroes return on August 5th. I'm not making this up. That's their verbatim.
I was under the impression that the word turtly was stricken from the English language after the failure that was The Master of Disguise.
Apparently.
You don't even know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I'm fully aware that I've seen the film.
Am I not turtly enough for the Turtle Club? That's a stupid joke, and I thought we killed that word after that point.
Apparently not.
I'm sorry. This actually technically is not turtly as in like a turtle. This is turtly as in totally. Just say totally.
But with that said,
being cute.
The Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the movie, will be coming out on April 5th on Netflix.
That's based on one of the Nickelodeon shows.
Yeah, it's the most recent one.
Okay.
The one that only got 2 seasons, and it's getting a full-length movie on Netflix.
Okay.
And apparently there's going to be another one coming out, I think either later this year or it's going to be out early next year, written by Seth Rogen.
Okay.
Where apparently the turtles go to high school. That's going to be interesting.
They're just slowly trying to turn turtles into Power Rangers, aren't they?
Maybe turtles with attitude. They need what they need to do.
I mean, there's already been a Turtle Power Ranger crossover.
Yes, just do it already.
It's like, just animate that, let it go. Anyway.
Yeah. Either or. So that's all I have in the news.
All right, then we need to jump into the spoiler-free section of our review of How to Train Your Dragon 2.
Certified fresh and spoiler-free.
This is my third viewing, I believe, of this film.
Right.
But this is the one that I always forget about, I think.
Exactly.
Not because it's bad. It's actually a fairly good movie.
It is.
It's just this... Honestly, to some degree, I think the animators forgot it too, because The Hidden World shares a lot in common storyline-wise with this.
It does.
Which is the fourth movie.
Third.
The Hidden World's 4, isn't it?
I think there's only 3. I might be mistaken.
I thought there were 4 movies.
Let me double check. Continue.
Because there was a How to Train Your Dragon 3, and then there was How to Train Your Dragon The Hidden World, I thought. But beside the point. But I did enjoy the movie. The animation on this has been greatly increased. And I highly appreciate that. They do a lot of good character moments throughout the film.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, if you've seen the first How to Train Your Dragon,
mm-hmm.
and you're wondering if you should watch the second, that is a stupid question.
Yes.
Go watch it.
It's not 1, 3. It's 1, 2, 3.
And 4.
And there's no 4th.
There's got to be a 4th.
There's not a 4th film.
Because when I bought the Blu-ray, it came with 3 films, and the 4th one was just in theaters.
What you're talking about,
I believe. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying I may be confused.
Well, doing the research, apparently there's that release came with, I think, a like the opening, the first few episodes of one of the series. I think it was like Riders of Berk.
Maybe so.
Yeah,
because I know that's the one that takes place between 1 and 2 because certain characters still alive.
Yeah,
in that show.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not saying you're wrong. It's just I could have sworn there was actually 4 movies.
Right. Yeah, it's.
I'm trying to look.
I was honestly in the exact same boat as you. I was like, is there 4 movies? No, there's 3.
I could have sworn there was 4, but I can't find a listing on the franchise.
There's 3. There are currently 3. How to Train.
Yeah, I enjoyed the movie, and if you have any interest in the franchise, go watch it. It just goes without saying.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
My thoughts on this movie, it's a very well done movie. It is a animation wise step above the first film. Like animation wise, they step up their game and they just own it. It's so well done. Animation wise, just like from A, B, C, D.
Mm-hmm.
It all the way into the Z. It's a good film. I love how they mature the characters and the whole bit. There's a lot of this really, really good storytelling in this movie. And highly recommend it. If you haven't watched it, watch 2, watch 3. There is no 4 currently. I
can tell you why I thought that, because I was looking that up while you were talking.
What?
In my mind, I was thinking there was a How to Train Your Dragon 3D and a How to Train Your Dragon The Hidden World, no number.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
3D and The Hidden World are the same movie. It's
just,
they advertised one as 3D, except they were all put out in 3D because that's how we were doing things since Pandora came out.
Mm-hmm.
Pandora. That is not the name of that show.
Avatar.
Not The Last Airbender.
Which that movie's coming out, I think, the end of this year. I think.
That's one I think we do need to double talk about. Avatar is about covering, in case because Avatar is one of those that's like right on the line.
Oh yeah,
between hybrid and hybrid animated film and just a live action film. With
I would agree with you, but then you have to go back and watch Avatar.
You don't like Avatar?
I only saw it.
Like Dances with Smurfs?
I have not seen that film since theaters.
I'm now I
got Smurfs in my head.
I'm now expecting a giant cat to be attacking. Anyway, I gotta show you something when we get off too, because that reminded me of something else.
Oh my god!
But anyway,
yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this film. It's definitely worth a watch. And yeah, it's relatively available. But yeah, watch 1, watch 2, and definitely watch 3.
Yes. I'm actually kind of surprised it took us this long, 4 years, to get to the second movie.
Right.
And it wasn't you who put the second movie on the list. Even though you put the first one on the list.
I did.
It was me. Because you never would put it back on there. I still don't know why.
I didn't think about it.
I just
because they're again, literally the main defense.
The main reason I put it on is like I went back and looked and said, oh, we have so many of these series we've not gone back and finished. I put some of these on the list.
Yeah. Okay. In my defense, because you said it earlier, my thought was because 2 and 3
they're
movies,
they're
very alike.
Yeah.
And so like watching this film be like, I know I've seen this film, but I'm blending 2 and 3 together. But yeah, go watch it. It's good. It's a good movie.
All right. Well, then why don't you join us on the other side of the bumpers and we will get to spoiling this thing.
The Cellcast would like to thank the following patrons: Josh Adams, Ashley Cronin Bitter.
To get your name on the show, plus uncut episodes, early access to the Cellcast Plus reviews and special art from Jacob, please donate to us on Patreon.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box. Whether you enjoy geeky reviews, comedy, or original fiction, you can open up the Culture Box and find something excellent for your soul. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
Geek Devotions is a collaboration of devoted geeks that are devoted to letting people know that they are loved. They produce a weekly geek culture-infused devotional, their podcast Com Talk, another podcast where they talk about bad movies called Bottom Shelf, and another podcast where they read books, allegedly. And they are written articles, all designed to encourage and challenge people in the geek community, bridging the gap between their faith and their geekdoms. Find all their content at geekdevotions.com. This show is a part of Pop Americana. For more great shows like this one, please check the link in the episode description. Do you like Star Wars? I don't just mean the original trilogy. Along with that, I mean the prequels, the sequels, the anthologies, the animated shows, and of course, who doesn't like Baby Yoda? Well, if you've been in the fandom for any length of time, you know how toxic the fandom can get. And if you'd like to be able to discuss a galaxy far, far away in a much more positive light, might I suggest searching out The Outer Rim, a Facebook group dedicated to all of Star Wars, and check out their YouTube channel, which you can easily find at Pop Americana, which the podcast you're currently listening to is also a part of. To find that and more, check out the link in the description. The following is a spoiler-filled review for the movie How to Train Your Dragon 2. Listener discretion is advised. They should have put a subtitle on this. I'm just saying. How to Train Your Dragon 2 was written and directed by Dean DuBois, who is also the writer for Lilo and Stitch. It is based on the book series by Cressida Cowell. Cast includes Jay Baruchel as Hiccup, and in The Sorcerer's Apprentice, that movie, live action movie, he played Dave.
Okay.
I don't know who Dave is because I've not watched that.
Me either.
Kate Blanchett is the voice of Valka, and she was Galadriel on Lord of the Rings.
Exactly.
Gerard Butler was Stoic, the Vast, and he was King Leonidas in 300.
This is Sparta!
Craig Ferguson was the voice of Gobber, and he was the host of The Late Late Show from 2005 to 2015. America Ferrera was the voice of Astrid, and she was the voice of Betty Suarez in Ugly Betty.
That's true.
I say the voice. She played Ugly Betty.
She did play Ugly Betty.
Jonah Hill played Snoutlout, and he was Green Lantern in the Lego Batman movie, and I believe the Lego movie also.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I think if we're talking about the animated movies,
yes.
I think
the Lego animated movies.
Okay, Lego animated movies. Okay, that's different.
Yeah, the Lego movie and the Lego Batman movie.
Okay, good deal. Just clarification.
Understandable. Christopher Mintz Place was the voice of Fishlegs, and he was King Gristle in Trolls.
Another movie we reviewed.
T.J. Miller was the voice of Tough Nut, and he is Fred in Big Hero 6.
Oh.
Gotcha. I knew you'd get that.
Gotcha.
Kristen Wiig was the voice of Rough Nut, and she is Lucy in the Despicable Me franchise.
Wait a minute. What actress?
Kristen Wiig.
Oh, Kristen Wiig. Oh, okay. Gotcha. That from that other film that we were talking about earlier.
Yes. Jaimin Honsu was the voice of Drago, and he was Korath in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah. I thought I recognized him from something.
Kit Harington was the voice of Eret, son of Eret, and he was Dane Whitman in Eternals.
Yeah, and also he was in Game of Thrones?
Yeah, but I didn't watch Game of Thrones. I think he was Jon Snow. He
played Jon Snow.
There's a couple of jokes about that later on. I found out. Kyron Elliott was the voice of Horik the Haggard. And in the video games, Lord of the Rings, Aragon's Quest, and Lego Lord of the Rings, he was the voice of Pippin. Philip McGrade was the voice of Starkard, and he played a character named Professor Michael McGinty in Behind the Reality Curtain, which was about the only thing I could find for him. Andrew Abelson voiced Ugg. Lovely name.
Yeah, Ugg.
And he was Derek Tanner in Disney's Kicking It.
Okay.
I don't know what they were kicking, but apparently it was it. Gideon Emery was the voice of Teeny, and he played Anatoly Rankakov, Russian names, in Daredevil, the Netflix Daredevil.
Oh, okay. I still need to watch all that.
Simon Cassiandes was the voice of No Name. Yes, that was the character's name. No Name. Okay. I even saw it in the subtitles. He's one of Eret, son of Eret's goons on the boat.
Oh, okay.
He was Yusef in Quantum of Solace. And performing the voice of Toothless was Randy Thorne, who was also the voice of Sandy in The Croods. I believe that's the giant cat.
Yeah, that is Sandy. One of the best cats ever.
Yes. Kingdom Hearts connections. I think you can guess one of them. At least one of them.
Yeah, because
I honestly think you should be able to guess two of them, but I'm only assuming you got one of them since I've already mentioned it.
Yeah, you mentioned that he was in... He played the crap. He played... I know what he played. He was in Big Hero 6.
Yes. He was Fred in Big Hero 6.
Fred!
It was T.J. Miller.
T.J. Miller, okay.
Who was Tough Nut here, but Fred in Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah.
Reprising his role.
Okay.
Gideon Emery, who was Teeny here, was additional voices in Kingdom Hearts 3. But Chris Sanders was executive producer on this movie. And he's the voice of Stitch in Kingdom Hearts. He did not write the show. He did not do the writing or the directing on this one. He was just executive producer.
Oh, okay.
Because he did the first one. So he has at least some stake in the franchise. So yeah, I thought you'd appreciate that one.
Nice.
What do we got in info and stuff?
All right, so info and stuff. On IMDb, it has a 7.8 out of 10. It's available to watch on Netflix if you have Netflix. Production was by DreamWorks Animation, distributed by 20th Century Fox, now 20th Century Studios. Release date was...
It was actually the only one of the Dragon series to be released by 20th Century Fox.
Really?
because the first one was done by Paramount.
True.
Third one by Universal.
Oh, okay. That's got to be fun to put together in a box set.
Except the reason they can get away with it is because all of them are owned by DreamWorks, not by Fox or
it's just a distributing arm.
Paramount. It was just the people who did the distribution at that time and had and get their logo at the front of it.
Yeah,
were Paramount and Fox, but the movies were owned by DreamWorks, and so now they're owned by, since DreamWorks is now owned by Universal, they're now owned by Universal.
Yeah.
Anyway,
all right. So it was released. It was first released at the Canton Film Festival. Cannes Film Festival. Thank you. I can't.
I'm about to say Canton, Texas does not have a film festival.
No, Cannes Film Festival on May 16th, 2014. And it was released in June 13th the same year in the United States, and on July 4th in the UK. Box office. It had an estimated budget of $145 million. Its opening weekend was a little low for the US and Canada for $49.5 million on June 15th of that same year. Its gross for the US was $177 million and a lot of change. Its worldwide gross was $621.5 million. So going into home release, there's quite a bit of stuff about home release. So How to Train Your Dragon 2 was released digitally on October 21st, 2014. And it was supplementally released on DVD 3D Blu-ray. Remember, this was 2014.
Yeah.
And because everything was being distributed into 3D Blu-ray.
Thankfully, this movie does not fall into the 3D trap.
True. And also on regular Blu-ray on November 11th. The Blu-ray and digital release were accompanied with the new short Dawn of the Dragon Riders in 2014. And yes, that was available at Walmart's, available at your local Walmart's at the time as of February 2015. 7.5 million home entertainment units have been sold worldwide. On June 22nd, 2019, Universal Picture Home Entertainment released a 4K 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray version of How to Train Your Dragon 2 alongside its predecessor, How to Train Your Dragon, making them the first catalog DreamWorks films to be released on that format. So going into sequels, obviously, because
we already had this discussion. There's only one sequel.
Yeah, there's only one sequel.
Movie, anyway. I don't know if there was a TV show in between.
No, there's a ton of TV series.
I know there's a lot
it's
of TV
DreamWorks.
In their Nickelodeon TV series, of all things.
Yeah, which is weird.
Yeah.
So the third and final film of the trilogy, How to Train Your Dragon.
So far.
Yeah, The Hidden World, because you never know. It is DreamWorks.
Yeah.
They like to drive their series into the ground.
Well,
or is that Illumination?
No, it's DreamWorks, because let's face it, Shrek 4 was supposed to be the final one, and we know there's another one coming.
Mm-hmm.
That's
at least
a reboot.
At least
a reboot?
Yeah, it's a reboot. It's better than, at least it redeemed itself, because 3 was just garbage.
We'll get there when we get there.
But okay. This film was originally scheduled to be released on June 17th, 2016. But on September of the same year, DreamWorks moved the film to June 19th. June. So they moved it forward. They moved it back to June 9th, 2017. But then where I got all this stuff, the dates are so confusing. So I'm trying to discern what's really going on here.
It got pushed. It got delayed a number of times.
It got really so many times.
So eventually what?
Yeah. So originally it was released in 2016. And then eventually it got... So from 2016 to 2019, when it finally was released, it was released... it was released on February 22nd, 2019.
Right.
And yeah, that's about it. This movie got pushed. Now, granted, this was
the
not
third movie, not this one.
Yeah, the third movie was pushed back further and further and further and further and further, or pushed forward in time so many times. Not be like, granted, this was 2016 to 2019. This wasn't even during the pandemic.
Yeah, this was a 4-year delay, but I suspect there are a lot of technological advances occurred during that time. With their pipeline.
True. So yeah,
there were technological advances that go into this one, which we'll be talking about in a second.
True. Yeah. So yes, there is a sequel, How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. There is no fourth film as of this day.
A lot of Christmas specials, though, for some reason.
A lot of Christmas specials, a lot of shorts,
yeah,
a lot of TV shows.
This is at the time when DreamWorks had learned how to monetize their IP outside of the movie theater.
True.
Right. Anyway, you ready for the summary?
Yes.
All right. 5 years after the Viking villagers of Berk and the dragons made peace, they lived together in harmony. Hiccup and his dragon, Toothless, the Night Fury, discover and map unexplored lands. Now 20 years old, he is being pressed by his father, Stoic the Vast, to succeed him as chieftain, although Hiccup feels unsure he is ready. While investigating a burnt forest, Hiccup and Astrid discover the remains of a fort encased in ice and meet a group of dragon trappers. Their leader, Eret, attempts to capture their dragons for their employer, Drago Bloodfist, who plots to capture and enslave all dragons into becoming his soldiers. Hiccup and Astrid escape and warn Stoic about Drago. Stoic fortifies Berk to prepare for battle. Hiccup, however, refuses to believe war is inevitable and flies off to talk to Drago. Stoic stops him, explaining that he once met Drago at a gathering of chieftains where Drago had offered them protection from dragons if they pledged to serve him. When they laughed it off as a joke, he had his dragons attack them with Stoic being the sole survivor. Undeterred, Hiccup flies off with Toothless in search of Drago to try and reason with him. They instead meet a mysterious dragon rider who is revealed to be Hiccup's long-lost mother, Valka. She explains that she, like her son, could not bring herself to kill dragons. After being carried off during a dragon raid, she spent 20 years rescuing dragons from Drago and bringing them to an island nest created out of ice by a gigantic, ice-spewing alpha dragon called a Bewilderbeast, which is able to control smaller dragons by emitting hypnotic sound waves. Stoic and his lieutenant Gobber track Hiccup to the nest while Stoic discovers his wife is alive. Meanwhile, Astrid and the other riders force Eret to lead them to Drago, who captures them and their dragons, and learning of Berk's dragons, sends his armada to attack the dragon nest. He also attempts to have Eret executed, but Astrid's dragon Stormfly saves him. A grateful Eret later helps her and the others escape. At the nest, a battle ensues between the dragon riders, Valka's dragons, and Drago's armada, during which Drago reveals he has his own Bewilderbeast to challenge the Alpha. The two colossal dragons fight, ending with Drago's Bewilderbeast killing its rival and becoming the new Alpha. Drago's Bewilderbeast seizes control of the adult dragons. Hiccup tries to persuade Drago to end the violence, but Drago orders his Bewilderbeast to have Toothless kill him. The hypnotized Toothless fires a plasma bolt towards Hiccup, but Stoic pushes him out of the way and is killed instead. The Bewilderbeast momentarily relinquishes control of Toothless, but Hiccup drives Toothless away in a fit of despair over his father's death. Drago maroons Hiccup and the others on the island and rides Toothless again under the control of the Bewilderbeast to lead his army to conquer Berk. Stoic is given a Viking funeral, and Hiccup, now having lost both his father and dragon, is unsure what to do. Valka encouragingly tells him he alone can unite humans and dragons. Inspired by her words and his father's, Hiccup and his allies return to Berk to stop Drago by riding the baby dragons, which are immune to the Bewilderbeast's control. Back at Berk, they find that Drago has attacked the village and taken control of its dragons. With a heartfelt apology, Hiccup frees Toothless from the Bewilderbeast's control, much to Drago's surprise. Hiccup and Toothless confront Drago, but the Bewilderbeast encases them in ice. However, Toothless blasts away the ice and enters a glowing, superpowered state. Enraged that the Bewilderbeast tried to hurt Hiccup, Toothless then challenges the Bewilderbeast to protect his rider, shooting it in the face, repeatedly, which breaks its control over the other dragons, who side with Toothless as the new Alpha. All the dragons repeatedly fire at the Bewilderbeast until Toothless fires a final massive blast, breaking its left tusk. Defeated, the Bewilderbeast retreats with Drago on his back. The Vikings and dragons celebrate their victory, and Hiccup is made chieftain of Berk, while all the dragons from both Berk and Valka's sanctuary bow before Toothless as their new king. Afterwards, Berk undergoes repairs with Hiccup, feeling certain that its dragons can defend it. Getting into the trivia for this, Dean DuBois asked Cate Blanchett to play the role of Valka during the 2011 award season where How to Train Your Dragon was being campaigned for Academy Award recognition. I told her that I had written the part for her in How to Train Your Dragon 2, and she smiled, saying that the original movie was a big hit in her household with her 3 boys, and said DuBois, I told her about the character, and I could see it blossoming in her mind. DuBois wanted Blanchett to play Valka because he knew she would strike the right balance of rich and commanding, mixed with a sense of regret and vulnerability that the part called for. Jaimin Hansu would often do vocal exercises to prepare for his voice acting. One of these was a loud, terrible scream. Dean DuBois liked it so much that he decided to use his Drago's cry to summon the dragons. This is the first DreamWorks animation film to use its new animation and lighting software through the entire production. Programs named Primo and Torch allows much more subtlety in facial animation, the sense of fat, jiggle, loose skin, the sensation of skin moving over muscle instead of masses moving together. Dean DuBois said, I think the film looks a lot better than the first. In addition, our film is the first to showcase a whole new generation of software that has been in development at DreamWorks called Apollo. In past versions, if you wanted to do something as simple as arch an eyebrow, you would have to select the eyebrow from a menu and input what degree of arch you would want, enter that numerical amount, and wait for that to render, whereas the new system allows you to work in a much more intuitive way using a stylus and touch-sensitive Cintiq monitor to grab and manipulate the characters, which now render in real time. It allows animators to go back to working with their hands. Chris Sanders, co-writer and co-director of How to Train Your Dragon, and Dean DuBois collaborator since Lilo and Stitch, did not write or direct the sequel due to his involvement with the Croods, although he did help executive produce How to Train Your Dragon 2. This is the only film in the How to Train Your Dragon series to be distributed by 20th Century Fox since the end of DreamWorks Animation's deal with Paramount Pictures in 2012, and with Universal taking over in 2018, a year before the third film's release. Valka was originally written as a villain.
Really?
But this idea was dropped in later drafts. Also, Drago was intended to appear in the third film, How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World, but was bumped up to the second one. That actually kind of explains some things.
It does.
Originally, Gobber was the one who was meant to be killed by the brainwashed Toothless. But when Guillermo del Toro read the draft, he suggested that Stoic should be killed instead, as it would have a better impact. A bigger impact, not a better one. It was a better one. But anyway.
Yeah.
So, Jacob, what is your first like?
The animation in this movie.
Oh, yes.
Feel like you're talking animation, you're talking lighting, you're talking rigging, you're talking shadows.
This film is like leagues above what the original How to Train Your Dragon did.
Yes, agreed. Just leaps and bounds. The way they did texture, the way they did lighting rigs, the position of lighting, just amazing, absolutely stunning animation for a movie that came out in 2014. And it's a breathtaking film from a cinematic and animation style, animation in general, incredible film. And it's like every frame, I'm like, not every frame, but like every scene, it's like, wow, they did this with lighting, they did this with shadow, they did this with just like, now granted, there's some things here and there I'm going to get into dislikes, but overall, animation looks fantastic in this movie. That's my number one.
Jumping on that same boat, because this is going to be my number one also. This is one of the first DreamWorks films that actually used the lighting style of ocular occlusion, which that is a hard phrase to say.
Right.
But basically, it allows them to actually, instead of baking the light into the animation, like, stuff like Toy Story and all that had to do, where you actually did the lighting by changing the color of the texture of the model.
Yeah. What
they actually do is they set a light source, they place that light source in the scene,
Yeah.
And then the software traces all the light rays from that light source to the objects, and then based on properties of those objects, it reflects the light back in the way that it would be reflected back in reality.
Wow. That's
why you see all those ice scenes, and they look absolutely stunning because the light is changing how it's being presented based on how much ice that little light ray is having to go through before we get to see it.
Yeah.
It's why that the a lot of the characters, like when they're in the darker scenes, it is so dark, but I mean you can still see little packets of light, but they're done so naturally. You never have this whole artificial bloom effect that you know is not real.
Yeah.
But you get all these nice shots, and it gives you such beautiful colors. I mean, you get right down to it, you can tell even though these are possibly just slightly upgraded models for Toothless and our main dragons, and you can kind of tell that they now have scales, and they're not just colored masses with scale textures.
Yeah.
And the light bounces off of them in a more natural way that just makes the dragons look gorgeous, even when they're doing such nasty things.
That doesn't get out, right?
Exactly. It's just the a lot of it for me is the lighting, but there is a lot of, because you don't have purely muscular stuff here, because it's not we do have more stylized character designs here than than elsewhere. But even that movement just seems natural based on the proportions that we're seeing.
Yeah.
The water, for good night, the water is beautiful in this. I say it's beautiful. It looks like what you assume the frozen North's water looks like.
Yeah, it looks like
water.
It
looks like water. It doesn't look like a cloth texture. Which a lot of times, especially in the older movies, water looks like.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, crystal clear, but none of the waters around Norway. Is that where the Vikings are? Is that where the Vikings are
Norway.
From? None of the waters around there are going to look like that either. They're going to look cold, dank, and dreary. So, I mean, and the last one I'll point out is when Toothless powers up.
Oh, yeah.
And he gets that purple glow from inside. It's like, oh, I don't know what y'all had to do to make this work, but keep at it.
Yes.
This is beautiful. I don't know how you pulled that off, because that is not reflected light.
Yeah.
That they showed there. That is projected light coming out of this dragon that technically the material should not be allowing for, and yet they pulled it off.
Yeah.
So it's like, I would love to know. I'd like to see someone show me how they did that. And it could just be it's like, oh, there's just a purple light source coming from inside the dragon, and it's bright enough that it's shining through his muscles. I'm fine with that if that's all it is. But good night. The whole thing is this whole movie is absolutely gorgeous from top to bottom.
Agreed.
As much as the first one is so good, it is missing the polish and the beauty that the second two movies have.
Yeah.
And this one is just, that's part of the reason this movie is leaps and bounds better visually than the first one.
I agree with you on that.
I think the story might be better in the first one, but anyway.
Right.
So what's your second like?
My second like kind of deals with the story. That you have growth with characters. It's not like you have in like most films be like, this movie takes 5 years after your original, and characters have grown, they have developed as people. You have Hiccup, who went from this scrawny little kid to a 20-year-old man who he's still trying to figure out what he wants to do in life, but you find a character who has grown and matured, and it's not this be like a movie says, oh, it's 5 years later, but the character has not grown at all. Where in this movie he has.
Yeah, all the characters
have grown.
He actually looks like an adult. He doesn't look like the scrawny kid he was in the first one.
Exactly.
None of them look like the scrawny kids they were in the first one.
Yeah, exactly.
I say that knowing Snoutlout was never scrawny.
True. But it's this the attention to detail when it comes to your characters and having them grow as characters, because you have in so many cases where in other films where be like, oh, it's set 2 years in the future, but it's the exact same character. There's no growth or visual growth to the character. Or
they've reversed the character from a character standpoint to what they were before the first movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Ralph. Continue.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Completely agree. Yeah, go listen to
listen to Ralph Breaks the Internet and find out why Vanellope went from my favorite Disney princess to my most hated Disney character.
Yeah. When you say you're going turbo in the first one, you have a character go turbo, and it's completely
you break your rules.
It's basically just kind of like glossed over.
Anyways,
we're not here to talk about Ralph Breaks the Internet again. We're here to talk about
very easy to get off on that subject because that still annoys us.
Yes, it does. It very much still annoys the two of us. So yeah, be like, you have character growth, you have like development as a character model, and it's just like, whoa. Because me like the there again, the animation with lighting and rigging, whatever, and just how this is done, be like how I'm still blown away how they, like, animation wise, made Hiccup look older. He acts older, and he's still not the same goofy kid. It's like, oh shucks, y'all kind of character, but he's grown and he's matured, and I really enjoy that as a character. To watch a character grow and not simply, oh, it's 5 years later, but it's the same character. Yeah, he's grown and matured, and he's got a lot more tech, which is cool. So yeah, that's my second like, the growth of characters. What's your second like?
This is a kaiju movie.
Oh yeah, of course.
And I don't just mean the thousands and thousands of on-screen dragons, which dragons are technically kaiju.
They are.
I'm talking, it's also the fact that we've got 2 mountains sized dragons,
right,
that actually feel like they have weight. There's a part of me that thinks that the dragons that we see, all the other dragons, are actually moving a bit too fast for their size. Toothless is one of the few I don't think that with, because he is designed to be a stealth bomber. Yeah, he's designed to be essentially very fast and quick. But so many of the others don't feel like they have the right weight for their size. But it's part of the charm. I kind of don't worry about that. Yeah, they could have really screwed that up if they'd have kept it at that thing with the alphas. But the alphas actually do feel like they have weight behind their movements. Like it's actually hard for them to move because
they're so huge.
Well, and living creature, we know that you can't really get like creatures much bigger than, like, say there's a certain size limit to how big creatures can get under their current laws of physics.
Yeah, agreed.
That dragons like those big 2 would definitely not be accurate for, but they feel like they are there and that they're huge and that you would not want to get. I mean, they're physically intimidating to everybody, not just the ones that they're out, that they're the dragons that they can hypnotically control.
Yeah,
which I don't know if the hypnotic thing, hypnosis, was really a necessary thing, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
But the fact that they feel humongous. They both have this great ice spewing ability that just makes you almost feel cold watching them do that.
Yeah.
As they spew that out. and they are very intimidating. You get the feeling like there's a line from the Chronicles of Narnia where where one of the kids asks, I think the beavers, seeing Aslan for the first time, or hearing about Aslan for the first time, they say, "Is he safe?" He says, "No, he's not safe, but he's good."
Yeah.
That's kind of the feeling I get, at least around the white, the main alpha, the good alpha.
Yeah.
One that's not under the control of Goober. He's not safe. He will protect his kind, but he's good.
Yeah.
Unlike the other one, that's just evil.
Yeah. True.
So, I mean, yeah, it's. I kind of it almost gives that feeling not just of that this is a huge dragon, that this is actually a dragon god.
Yeah.
Lowercase g.
Yeah, lowercase g. Yeah.
That's kind of the feel of it, and I appreciate that it's there.
Okay.
What's your third like?
My third like is the gravitas that they went and did a certain action, which I applaud, because you don't see this a lot. You have a character who dies and they stay dead, or as in Stoic, be like, he goes in and throws himself in front.
This is my third like also, by the way.
Yeah. So the idea that he gets hit by this massive blast from Toothless and he doesn't move. Be like, he just dies. He's just right there.
He's just dead like that. You don't get this long, drawn out, dramatic death scene. It's just like, no, he's dead.
Yeah.
He's just gone. You don't even get to tell him goodbye at all.
Yeah.
He saved you, and now he's gone.
Yeah.
And
that's poignant.
And it hits, because you don't say, I knew it was coming because I'd seen the movie before.
Yeah.
But while you're watching it, you don't know that's coming.
No, you don't.
You just think, okay, we got this big army. Sure, there's going to be fighting and attack and stuff. And yeah, technically people are going to die, but they're never going to show that on screen because this is a DreamWorks Kids movie.
Yeah.
And admittedly, you don't see the hit.
No, you don't. They cut away.
They cut away right at the last moment, probably because, it's a kids movie.
Yeah.
But he gets hit and he stays dead, and Hiccup's reaction, even to lashing out at Toothless, who he knows it wasn't his fault, that he that he attacked, that Toothless was going to attack him and hit his father. He knows it wasn't his fault because he was under the control of the alpha that told him to do that. But it doesn't matter. He does not. He can't really stand to be with him at that moment.
Yeah, it's that idea of like, you're a complete grief.
Right.
Something just happened. You feel like you're still trying to process something.
And admittedly, I love how Toothless realizes what he's done.
Oh yeah.
He's immediately trying to apologize for it in his way.
Yeah.
And you can see that emotion in Toothless's face.
Oh yeah.
That's the
emotion this movie is.
That's one of the things I don't think we got a chance to talk about. Any of our likes is the fact that not just Toothless, but every dragon has emotional range.
Oh yeah.
But you can definitely see it in this moment where Toothless realizes that he just killed Hiccup's dad.
Yeah.
And he's almost trying to help. It's like, maybe we can do something. And Toothless Hiccup lashes out at him.
Yeah.
And Toothless is noticeably hurt. Which just kind of proves that these are not just dumb animals.
No,
they are actually intelligent, thinking beings.
Yeah.
So, and I appreciate they went to that much trouble to make it, and it's a poignant death scene all the way to the actual funeral.
Oh yeah.
Because this is a kids movie.
Yeah.
I've said that a couple times. I know, but there is a general thought in Hollywood that kids can't stand sad, slow-moving scenes.
Yeah.
Like the kind of the Stoic's funeral.
Right.
But they didn't shy away from it.
No, they didn't.
They went, as far as I understand about how Viking funerals are supposed to go.
Yeah.
They showed the whole thing.
They did.
Even actually mentioning a lot of the Norse mythology stuff about afterlife and stuff with Valhalla and all that stuff. So I appreciate they actually did all that.
Yeah.
And plus, they actually showed the Viking funeral with the ship catching on fire as it went out to sea.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
they did a good job with it.
Oh, I completely agree. And you touched on something about Toothless and the way he behaved.
Mm-hmm.
I loved how in the first one they kind of alluded to this, but in this movie in particular, they bring in more of the dog-like tendencies that they have in Toothless and a lot of the other more of this, this pack mentality, and how Toothless, he acts like a dog.
Yeah.
Like from the point where he knows he's done something wrong, so he cowls like a dog.
Mm-hmm.
But when he's trying to help, he goes over the hand trying to get a reaction to it.
Yeah,
because you see that in dogs,
mm-hmm.
and it's just very well done. Like, granted, we don't know did dragons ever exist? Probably not. But to kind of give that characteristic of a dog, which is dogs are man's first friends, and this movie, dragons are man's best friend.
When you
give them that characteristics,
when you have a creature in which we have no idea how they reacted, how they would act, because they're mythical, it makes a lot of sense to take a creature's actions and movements and psychology that we do know, like dogs, to show it off. I mean, you couldn't use cats for this.
Oh no, that'd be weird.
that just would not work. But dog makes perfect sense because they're very dog-like in how they are set up.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense. It makes it easier for them to work their way into Burkean society.
Yeah, exactly.
Which actually makes the third movie all that more sad at the end.
True.
But we'll get there when we get there.
Agreed.
But yeah, that was also my third like.
I gotcha.
So you ready for dislikes?
Yeah.
Or do you got more to say?
No, this is a very well done movie.
All right. Let's jump into our dislikes. My first dislike, I mentioned it earlier, and now I can't remember what it is.
Dun, dun, dun.
Don't you hate it when that happens?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I feel like an idiot because I didn't write these down again.
It happens. Well, I'll tell you what. While you're thinking about it, I'll
go ahead and
give
your dislike.
So there's very early on. I noticed this early on. So when it's primarily when we're talking about Astrid, and nothing against the character Astrid. The character is great. I love the character. There's certain scenes when the lighting, granted, the lighting in this movie is fantastic, but for some reason, when it comes to the character of Astrid, in certain scenes, it looks like it's just flat. Like there's no surface, like the roundness of the face or anything. It just looked like there's no lighting on the figure. It looks like it's a flat figure.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, that's a little odd. So there again, it's a nitpick, but it's like in certain scenes very early on, apparently they're still adjusting to the new rigging.
Yeah.
Where
it's always a learning curve with this.
There's always a learning curve. And it looks like very early on, it's like definitely when you're dealing with Astrid, because they gave so much detail to Hiccup. And it's just like you had like a little light source, but there was no real like curvature to her face.
Mm-hmm.
So it looked like it was flat in some scenes. But there again, early on, and there again, it's a nitpick. Did you figure out yours?
I thought of one of them, at least. The character of Drago.
Mm-hmm.
As our film's villain, they at least do give at least a very quick mention of why he hates dragons.
Yeah.
In the fact that, he's essentially the anti
Hiccup.
The anti-Hiccup in some ways, because he lost a limb to them. Not that Hiccup knew this, didn't know his mother was still alive at the time, but this guy had lost his family to them. But the thing is, it's mentioned so quickly and it's glossed over so much after the point where they mentioned it, that he feels like a one-note villain. It's like he's the villain because we needed a villain. And plus, they never explain, even with the knowledge that he hates dragons. They never mention why, if he hates dragons so much, why is he conquering dragons?
Yeah. Well,
what is his end game for all these dragons, other than he's trying to conquer all the villages.
Yeah.
What's he gonna do with the dragons once he conquers all of them?
Yeah. I think even Hiccup brings up this point. It's like be like, yeah, you're just a bully. That's all you be like. You just want to be like, you use dragons to conquer people.
And the biggest issue I have with that is he's a weak villain. And in terms of his motivation, in terms of story, I'm not saying, I think we've brought this up a lot of times before, but I'm not saying that you can't just have a villain who's evil for evil's sake.
Right.
But when you have a character, a villain that you're trying to humanize, but you barely humanize them.
Yeah.
So they are very watered down, both as a humanized villain and as an evil for evil's sake villain.
Right.
You weaken the villain overall, which then has the problem that because it raises the issue that a good villain makes their heroes more heroic. The strength of your hero is directly proportional to the strength of your villain.
True.
So if your villain is weak, it doesn't matter what Hiccup overcame in the first movie. In this movie, Hiccup is relatively weak in comparison. He does a lot of good stuff, but he doesn't have as much to overcome. In the first movie, he had to overcome, the discrimination that the entire village felt against dragons. And he had to bring that and show that, no, these dragons are good, are good. They can help us and all this other stuff. This one, he's saving the dragons because he likes dragons.
Yeah.
The other guy's conquering dragons to use against other people because that's what villains do.
Yeah.
And we've got this little revenge storyline kind of built in there, but we didn't really go into it enough. We don't really feel like we feel like that's more of an excuse more than an actual reason. What he's using as an excuse, a rationalization to do all this, but it's not the reason for doing what he's doing. And they never tell us really why he's doing why the villain's doing what they're doing. And that's just, if they didn't decide if he was an evil for evil's sake or if he was a humanized villain. They just said he's just a bad guy and we're not going to go any deeper than that. Now, granted, from what I read in the trivia earlier, where he was supposed to be the villain of the third movie,
right,
and they had to bump him up when they decided that Valka was not going to be the villain of the second movie. Even though you can tell at one point her design, she was intended to be villainous.
Yeah, very easy.
You can see that in there, but I have a feeling they didn't have a chance to actually work on his character enough when they had to move him forward in the story to actually give him a decent backstory.
Yeah,
actually work on his character. So yeah, the fact that Drago is just such a poor villain is my first dislike. What's your second?
My second dislike actually has to deal with Drago.
Okay.
So we kind of like you said, I agree with you that Drago is kind of a weak character. He's a weak villain. His motivation is kind of, it's not weak sauce. It's not like we get a understanding of why he does it, but it's not such a profound, we get this, oh, he's a big bad guy. That's all he is. But when I need some clarification here. So at the end of the film, do we even see Drago get defeated, or do we simply, the big dragon flies off and does he fly up with him?
I don't remember.
Yeah, that's the thing. Because
I'd have to actually load the video up and watch it again.
Yeah, because I'm literally racking my brain trying to remember. Be like, does Drago, does he die? I mean, does he just fly up with his now defeated mount?
He's defeated, but I mean, you kind of get the feeling that even the Alpha's not really, big deal anymore.
Yeah, he just kind of he just floats off.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I don't remember, be like, if our listening audience is saying, be like, what exactly happens to Drago at the end of the movie? I don't remember.
It's that unimportant to the story.
Yeah, apparently.
Because you get the thing where, because I mean, even my summary, I don't think said what happened to Drago.
Yeah.
Let me double check here. Back up to where that is. It just says, okay, defeated, the bewildered beast retreats with Drago on his back.
Right.
So
that's what I thought.
He just left. Just like, and I'm sitting there going, is he the villain of the third movie, or is there another villain? Because it's been I've only seen the third movie one time.
Yeah.
And it's been 4 years.
Yeah.
I know it's been 4 years because we talked about this when we were reviewing the first movie, which was in season 1, and we're in season 4.
Yeah.
So the math is easy.
Yes.
So yeah, I agree with that. I don't even remember if he even comes back up again.
Yeah, because like it
feels like they're setting up for him to come back. But
yeah, because he's not defeated, he hasn't been vanquished, he hasn't been killed or anything. So it's like one of those things that be like, oh, he's been defeated, but he still lives. So he's still an adversary, even though he's been humiliated and his dragon has been defeated.
Well, I mean, they did the whole thing where he's sent home with his tail between his legs.
Yeah.
But the thing is, there's nothing saying he won't come back at a later date. And
Yeah, exactly.
I honestly don't know if in the hidden world, if he's the bad guy in that one.
Mm-hmm.
But beside the point, my second dislike.
Yeah.
Valka.
Okay.
Valka. This is a problem with how they had to handle their character. Because like I said earlier,
yeah,
Valka was originally intended to be the villain of the second film, but they changed it to be for her not to be. But there's still a lot of that DNA of her being a villainous character in the show that you never really get the feeling that they never got her back away from perhaps her villainous tendencies.
Yeah.
It never felt she's supposed to be Hiccup's mother. Granted,
yes,
she didn't get to spend a lot of time with him because she left when the when the Cloud Jumper, I think is the dragon's name. When Cloud Jumper took her to the dragon's nest during that whole raid. So you never get that feeling. She never. Obviously, she doesn't know how to be motherly, but she doesn't even feel like she's trying to be motherly. She feels like she is still very dedicated to her goal of saving the dragons.
Right.
But in a lot of ways, as much as I love Cate Blanchett, do not get me wrong.
Right.
I never really saw any reason for Stoic to even be in love with her. They were in love. You can see that.
Yeah.
You can see he was in love with her.
Right.
But I still don't know why. And if you're going to have that much of a love story in there, I need to at least see some vestiges of why he fell in love with her.
Yeah.
And I don't think we really do. We don't really get to every time we see her in that flashback, when she gets taken, we don't really see her even acting motherly to Hiccup then. So you can see how even then he and his mother may not have had a very good mother-son relationship. But it's hard to tell because we only get to see a minute of that time.
Yeah.
So it's like, and yeah, she went to save her son when she thought he was about to get eaten. But then saw that, okay, the dragon's not going to eat him. So then why did the dragon break into the house? There's a question. So it's like her character is so much on her one goal that's pretty much her character.
Yeah.
She's got all these other things, but she's so focused throughout the entire movie on this one goal that we never get to see her grow from that role to actually being Hiccup's mother. Even if she's a 20-year-old. Even though it's 20 years since, she was Hiccup's mother by relationship.
Yeah.
And you can tell you can kind of see that she wants that relationship that she lost because she feels she feels horrible for leaving him behind. You can see that.
Yeah, agreed.
But you never get a chance to even really see her even have any motherly tendencies. Any of that motherly instinct kick in.
Yeah,
that is going to be there.
Yeah, it's just I could probably just choke it up to like maybe she's.
Granted, there's not a lot of time for them to show that.
That is true.
But you could do like the subtle things. I mean, the closest thing we get is when Toothless, kills Stoic, and a Hiccup lashes at Toothless. She says, it wasn't his fault, and it wasn't his fault, and you know that. She's trying to comfort her son.
Yeah.
And she actually is doing a good job of it there.
Right.
But that's like the only amount of tenderness we really see between her and Hiccup, because after that you don't have time, because you got a war to fight against Drago.
Yeah, Drago.
And before that, you had to focus the relationship that she had on screen with Stoic, because there wasn't much time to actually show that relationship.
Yeah.
And even then, you only really see that he was in love with her. You don't really see much of her being in love with him, because for the most part, especially during the flashback, she's fighting with him because she's saying, "No, don't kill the dragons." He's like, "What are you looking at, woman? They're killing all our peoples." And I don't know why I just went Scottish there. But and then you can see she's in an awkward situation when he shows back up, because she knows she's wronged him.
Yeah.
And I guess there is some love in that. It's like, I wronged someone I love. I hope they can forgive me.
Yeah.
But her character is there's so much of that character that's still stuck on that dragon nest that I almost feels like we never really get to see her actually loving very much on her original family. That
agreed.
The movie is supposed to be getting us to want to see.
Agreed.
It feels like we never got to that point.
Agreed.
And I think that's more nitpick than everything else, because like I said, there really wasn't time to show a lot of that. But it's like, show me something. Show me a glance, a thing where she has to move his hair out from his eyes or something, some motherly touch. She really feels just like
a long lost relative
who doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And granted, she is that. But it's like, there should be at least some instinct. You don't even really see Hiccup really fall in love with her, because he's more in love with the dragons that are around, like she is. And they're sharing an interest, and they're kind of showing that relationship, but it's not really. So I really don't feel like they did. Volka was a very awkward character throughout most of this film, but they never really, not even, I think even in the epilogue, did they really do anything to really cement that she was, outside of just saying it, that she was Hiccup's mother.
Agreed.
Outside of the fact that Stoic's helmet was about the size of her asset, much like it was said in the first movie. So nice touch of detail there.
Yes.
It was a joke in the first movie. Yeah. I'm glad they at least went with it.
Agreed. So my third dislike is the fact that, having watched all three films, I can't distinguish the second and third films in my head.
The only distinguishing factor I have is Toothless has a girlfriend.
Yeah.
And she's a Day Fury, or a Light Fury, I think they
Light
call
Fury.
her. It's like, okay. And then we see their kid dragon at the end, and he's a Holstein cow dragon.
He's spotted.
He's a Dalmatian.
The Dalmatian dragon. Just hopefully they don't have a
101 Dalmatian dragons.
But it's just like
Cruella de Vil.
Yeah, exactly. He's Cruella de Vil in the fourth one.
She wants a really nice leather jacket, but still.
Oh my gosh. But it's like,
there's a movie we got to put on that list someday too.
Watching this film, I'm constantly trying to discern and separate both films from each other. And like, I think it's like probably in the second act, it's like, oh, okay, this movie's starting to, separate itself. But there's so much of this film that almost like it's resonating what the third film does, almost like for like beat by beat by beat in some ways. I'm not saying it's the same film, but there's so much of the elements of the third film that it blurs the line of like which film am I supposed to be watching? Because I distinctly remember
you got the hidden world,
and
you've got the dragon nest, which are virtually the same thing.
Because that was the confusing part.
And there's an alpha in the hidden world.
Yeah, there is.
That essentially the alpha of the dragon nest at the end of the movie, which is toothless, is going to pay attention to and leave all of Burke for. Now, granted, I understand we'll get more to this when we get to the third movie.
Yeah.
But I get why at the end of that movie they had to get to a point where dragons were mythological creatures again.
Yeah.
I understand why they had to do that, or why they felt they needed to do that, but it just feels like I hate to see that relationship end. But anyway.
Yeah.
So this at least feels like it should have been the end of a duology.
Yeah.
But there's a third film. I think it's why in my mind there were 4 films, because it's like there has to be something that's between these two.
Agreed.
To give it a good excuse as to why there's another film that feels like the second one.
Yeah. Now, granted, this is not the fault of the second film. I think it's just the writing,
or even the third film, for that matter.
Yeah, I think it's just like I
think it's just an unfortunate happenstance.
Yeah, exactly.
Similar films.
Yeah,
and it could be
so many different same elements.
Yeah, and it could be like we were saying earlier, because the Drago was supposed to be the third film's villain.
True.
It could be that the outline they had, when they brought Drago down, they had to bring down what he was doing, and so it's just similar, and that's what they were stuck with.
Yeah.
And there wasn't enough, even though they had 4 years to reanimate everything, apparently. They didn't have enough time, apparently, to come up with a different story to handle why the dragons had to leave.
Yeah.
From an in-universe point of view.
That makes sense.
Storyline
totally makes sense. Yes.
It's a theory. I have no idea how true it is.
Yeah, we'll figure it out when we do the third film.
Get there when we get there.
Exactly.
One day.
4
years from now, when we finally do the third movie. Following the pattern.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that is my third dislike.
My third dislike. They really didn't point out that Stoic had a dragon at the beginning of this. They make a big to-do about, what was Stoic's dragon's name? Skullcrusher?
Skullcrusher.
They make a big to-do about, Skullcrusher needed a rider. That's why they gave him to Eret, son of Eret.
Yeah.
They make a big to-do about that.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting there going, did he have a dragon before this?
Stoic?
He didn't have one at the end of the first movie. If he got one, it had to have been between the movies. And they never, I don't remember them actually showing him on a dragon until they went into battle at the very end, before he died. I don't remember seeing a dragon for him until that point. Not saying there wasn't one there. I'm just saying because of the way it was shot, most of the scenes where he was perhaps on Skullcrusher might have been cut out for one reason or another.
Yeah.
Because literally, they don't even show them flying to the nest.
Yeah.
Him and Craig Ferguson, whose name the character's name I can't think of right now. They don't show him doing that, flying there, because they literally, it's like they just show up. Gobber. They show up to kind of spook. You don't even know they're on the island until they're trying to drag Hiccup away, not knowing that his wife is there.
Yeah.
So I didn't even realize he had a dragon until, well, like I said, there was a point during that battle where it's like, okay, so he's got a dragon? I didn't know that. And then they make that big to-do about, now Eret's going to have his dragon. It's like, I don't remember Skullcrusher being Stout's dragon. Did I miss that?
Maybe.
I don't know. I'm not, like I said, it could have just been put on the cutting room floor because every scene involving the dragon up to that point might have just been hampering the flow of the movie.
Yeah.
I get that, but I don't remember him doing that. Now, I vaguely remembered him having a dragon because I vaguely remembered a commercial on Nickelodeon that I happened to see one time when I happened to be on that channel watching something. I don't remember what, and there was a commercial for the Dragon TV show, Riders of Berk, and I remember it's like, now Stoic has decided now he needs a dragon. I'm like, okay, he had a dragon? Didn't know this. Almost makes it more sense that he wouldn't have a dragon and someone had to carry him.
Yeah, I think with this, it's one of those that if you hadn't watched the TV show prior to this,
you may not have known.
You may not have known.
But you can't, as much as I love connected universes between TVs and movies, you have to at least, when you're switching between your major audiences like that, you have to make at least some assumption that some of your audience has not seen that show.
Yeah.
So you need to actually give us at least a couple shots. Now, granted, there could be shots in this film. Yeah. I don't remember them. Like establishing shots of him on that dragon.
Yeah.
I don't remember them. I'm not saying you've got to have a scene where he has to somehow convincingly say, yes, we need to get on my dragon, Skull Crusher. I don't know why I'm going Scottish again. Skull Crusher, and fly off to save my boy Hiccup. You don't have to do that.
Right.
But it's like, I don't remember you had a dragon. I didn't know you had a dragon. Now we're making a big to-do about giving Aaron a dragon. There are thousands of dragons he could have. Why does he need this specific one that we now know has a name and used to be Stouts? Stouts is not the character's name. Stoics. Which, by the way, I will say I did like that line of Valka's. This is, why do you have to be so stoic? That was a great line.
Right.
But anyway, that's my third dislike. It's like, I just don't remember this character having this one little thing. And it really doesn't matter for the course of the story. But anyway, that brings us to the end, I think, of the episode.
Yes.
Or of the review. So we need to rate this thing. I'm giving it an 8.
Okay.
It's a very beautiful movie. The story is good.
Mm-hmm.
It might be a little thin, but it's still a good story. And it shows a lot. It has a lot of great action and a lot of good heartfelt moments.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm giving it an 8.
I'm in the same boat. It's an 8 for me. It's a very well, animation wise, beautiful. There's a lot of more. It's like the dislikes we brought up. It's just, you're nitpicking things, but overall the story is very well done. And honestly, I can't wait for us to review 3 or The Hidden World. Because I remember watching this in theaters when we were in the early stages of doing the podcast.
I think we had recorded Frozen when that came out, but we hadn't released Frozen yet.
Yeah, we had not released Frozen yet. But overall, fantastic film, worth a watch. Go watch it on Netflix if you have Netflix, which I think most people have Netflix. I think
not everyone does.
Not everybody does.
Netflix is the service that's actually losing subscribers.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. So, yeah. So,
animated series,
TAS.
And the masters of the universe.
Thundercats are on the move. Thundercats are loose. DuckTales, woo!
Let's get dangerous.
Building a rocket or fighting a mummy or climbing up the Eiffel Tower.
The pinky and the brain. Narf!
We are reviewing Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure Season 2, episode named Rapunzel-Topia.
Mm-hmm.
Directed by Tom Caulfield and written by Ricky Roxburgh. Guest cast includes Clancy Brown as King Frederick, Julie Bowen as Queen Ariana, Gavin Creel as Matthews, the return of Donna Murphy as Mother Gothel,
Yes,
Suzanne Blakesley as Old Lady Crowley, Dietrich Bader as Stan the Guard, Sean Hayes as Pete the Guard, Alan Dale as the Vicar, and Jennifer Veal as Whispered Voice.
Whispered Voice.
In this episode, Rapunzel wakes up and finds herself in Corona with short brown hair and a seemingly perfect life, as if all the events of the Black Rocks and Varian never happened.
Mm-hmm.
Trivia for this episode. Suzanne Blakesley replaces Pat Carroll as Old Lady Crowley during this episode and forward for past this point for unknown reasons. Presumably her old age. In some deleted storyboards, Varian was to appear during the episode, but unfortunately he does not appear.
That would make sense.
Mm-hmm. This episode repeats the shot from the movie Tangled, where Rapunzel knocked out Eugene over the head with the frying pan. However, it is Mother Gothel who finds herself on the receiving end of Rapunzel's frying pan in this case. The title of this episode is a play on the word utopia, as well as being one of the few episodes to be named after Rapunzel. Let's talk about this.
Oh my gosh.
We get to see Voidberg. That's not her name. Friedberg again.
Friedberg. Who's holding whose hand?
You know I don't remember the guy's name.
Yeah, but it's
Big Nose, isn't it?
Big Nose. Yeah,
Big Nose.
Yeah, Big Nose. Because it's this idea of like this perfect life, and I'm like,
right.
when she wakes up, I'm like, what? I'd be like, you obviously know it's a dream because you have Eugene and Cassandra are being buddies with each other.
No. Let's start this from the beginning. You know something's up because they're back in Corona.
Mm-hmm.
And, I could just imagine if I was watching this on Disney Channel.
Yeah.
And not, as a kid and not really knowing what a season or an episode is, but I'm invested in the show. And all of a sudden this episode comes on and she's waking up in her home. I'm thinking, okay, this is a rerun.
Yeah.
Because it kind of has that feel at the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it has, the new episode intro on it. You're kids, you don't notice those things.
Right.
It's like, okay. But then it slowly starts thinking, okay, this is all fake.
Yeah.
Because it starts with just Cassandra when she comes in the room, because she is way too happy about being on princess duty.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's something she didn't like from the beginning, because that's just not who she is.
Yeah.
She was never really a lady in waiting type of character.
Oh, yeah.
She's always meant to be really the bodyguard for the most part and the good friend in that way. So she's like, Rapunzel asks, what is she wearing? She says, oh, I know. Isn't it cute? I'm going, that's not Cassandra!
This character would never say this.
3 seconds later, oh, hey, Blondie. Oh, hey, Cassandra. How are you?
They're
oh,
like,
you. It's like, this is wrong. These
two things that not work together.
I already know there's a lot bad going to happen in this, and I don't even know the context of why this is happening. Weren't we in a house of shells earlier?
Yeah,
we were, and we still are.
We still are.
It's like, because I'm like, okay, I know I still have to be in that house. That's the only way this makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
How are they going to bring this in? And the fact that you actually do get a scene of them trying to find Rapunzel in the house right before Cassandra goes off to a special room that we don't know what happens in.
Right.
Zip. Yes, keep that zipped. Then we follow Lance and Eugene into the obviously evil room because there's a skull. There's a Minotaur skull head with glowing green eyes. This is Disney. Green is evil.
Exactly.
Especially lime neon green is evil. You know this. It's been that way since Snow White.
Yes.
So you're going into the evil room and you see Rapunzel is being covered in these vines. And you see Matthews. Who's not Matthews. I don't remember what he said his name was. And then he actually mentions fully that he serves Zantiri. It's like, he kind of said that at the end of the last one too. But it's like, okay, all cards are on the table now. Okay, how do we save Rapunzel? Oh, you can't save Rapunzel. She has to save herself. And why would she? And to do that, she has to willingly wake up for her dream, but why would she leave a perfect life?
Uh-huh.
And it's like, oh, this is going to be interesting. And we go, most of the rest of the episode does take place, back in Rapunzel-Topia, we'll say.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a throwback to Before Ever After.
Yeah.
The whole episode takes place during that time,
Mm-hmm.
except people are way too buddy-buddy.
Yeah, they are
way too buddy-buddy.
And the one part is like when our villains like reveals his villainy. It's like, oh, it'd be like if you don't want to stay in your perfect world, welcome to your nightmare.
Well, that whole transition where it's Eugene and he's being all Flynn Rider-ish,
Mm-hmm.
like he always is.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden it's like he realizes, okay, yeah, this is not going to last much longer. I need to buckle down. And he does that transition. It's like, and they play both voice actors. Both voice actors are saying those lines at the same time.
Oh yeah,
to give you that transition. It's like, oh, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's
it's
good
really
sound
good.
Editing.
It is,
and you get this whole thing. But what's interesting is how well Mandy Moore, I couldn't think of the actress of her name. How well Mandy Moore plays both
herself
in both instances. The technically fictional self that's most like her version of her character at this point.
Yeah.
And then the version of her that was going back and playing the version of her from Before Ever After, which are, she's had character growth since then.
Yeah.
But she's very believable as both versions of this character.
Agreed.
And I kept thinking, okay, yeah, this is taking place in her mind. What is the worst possible thing that could happen that they could pull from? And they do it!
Oh, yeah!
We go back to the tower! And who's there but Mother Gothel? And it's like, yay. I shouldn't like this. This should scare me to death. But it's like, not scare me to death because I'm an adult. Right. It's like, this should be a horrible thing to have. It's like, hit her in the face. Punch her in the face. You are back to, you are not who you were when you were in this tower. Punch her in the face with the frying pan. Yes.
I did the exact same thing.
Especially when she starts
monologuing.
Yeah, the villain. She starts monologuing. Says, "Surely you should know by now, Rapunzel, that Mother knows." Sing.
It's like, I've always wanted to do that.
It's like, no, you didn't. But I guess on some level you did. She is the woman who raised you, technically.
True. So,
which we'll get there when we get there.
But the scene that I like the most, it was more when it shifts into the nightmare, and she Cassandra's there, and she pulls her glove off, and it's like, you did this to me, Rapunzel, and like the hand is like, all like withered, and
right? Because they've really never gone into what you almost forgot that happened.
Yeah,
it's like, oh wow, and then. Pascalzilla.
Oh gosh, that's
I did not see Pascalzilla coming, but it made sense at the time.
It did.
And he doesn't look like Pascal. He looks like an actual chameleon.
He does.
He's got the weird eyes and everything. So I'm going, yeah, that's how you make Pascal a monster.
Exactly.
I was like, oh, this is great. You'll never escape Pascalzilla, except you have to for story reasons.
That is true.
And it's all in your mind, so you can warp anywhere else you need to go.
Yeah, I did like the idea when she comes to the realization, when she's back in the tower, that this is my dreams. This is my mind. You can't control my mind.
Right. And you get the scene where she teleports her and I know they called him Williams. That's not his name.
No.
Matthews.
Teleports
them to the Black Rocks, and she does that thing with her arms and the Black Rocks raised to meet her. It's like, I am the god in this world, and you shall perish. It's not what she says, but it's that kind of feeling.
It's got that gravitas of that.
And she reaches out, grabs the Black Rock. Her hair goes Super Saiyan. She freaking goes Super Saiyan. And blasts him out of her head and wakes up. And it's like, yes!
There you go, girl.
Then get out of this stupid house. And they all go running out. And the minute I realize, okay, there's Lance, there's Eugene, there's Rapunzel.
Oh my gosh.
Where's Shorty? Wait, where's Cassandra? I actually, that happens. Like, I actually said, where's Shorty? He hasn't been in this episode.
Oh, there he is. He's
there
the
he
horses.
is. But no, literally, it's like, where's Shorty? Where's Cassandra? We haven't seen her since she went into the evil room. The obviously evil room.
Right.
We haven't seen that. What's going on? And then just enough of the sand builds up to build the door, and Cassandra comes out, and you can tell something's not right, but you don't know what.
Oh yeah, the build up to that where they're confronting the door, and Eugene is like, "We don't know what kind of horrible spooky things come at this door. It just got worse."
And Cassandra comes out and says, "It's as bad as I thought it was going to be." Like,
but
Eugene, you're digging yourself a hole.
He is, and that point where she comes out of the door, and obviously something's happened, and
we don't know what has happened.
We will find that out.
Get there when we
get there. But that
probably
scene
in
where
the final 2 episodes of the season, I'm guessing, or the first 2 episodes of the next season,
possibly
one of the two,
or
one of the 4. But anyway,
but that scene where it's like Rapunzel comes running up to the Cassandra, and that glare. I was like, oh crap, what happened?
Something happened. We don't know what.
Something really happened.
Yeah.
So then it's like we get this episode. It's like, okay, we got to go.
Yeah.
It's like,
and it just ends. And it's like, closure? Do you exist? Oh, maybe they'll get to the next one. Oh, what's the next one called? Lost and Found. Oh, look, a monkey.
The stupid monkey's
back. Okay, let's go into Lost and Found, because that's kind of how I was going at the time.
Yeah.
So let's go into Lost and Found.
Yeah.
Directed by Shane Zalvin and written by Jeremy Shipp. The guest cast includes Carol Kane as Madam Con Artist. You'll notice every time I've said this character's name, I've intentionally emphasized a syllable.
Yes.
She is a con artist. Madam Con Artist is a con artist. Anyway. D. Bradley Baker as Vigor and a llama.
Oh, really? It's D. Bradley Baker this time?
Yes.
Okay.
However, Timothy Dalton as Demantius. Do you know the name Timothy Dalton?
The name sounds real. Is that he was a James Bond actor?
He was a James Bond actor. He's the one after Roger Moore, but before GoldenEye. What is that guy's
I know.
Name? He was in. He's in a lot of things, and I can't think of his name.
Yeah,
he's the one that most visually fits the description of James Bond, and I can't think of the guy's name. Pierce Brosnan. It's the one between those two.
Yeah,
he also played like a evil Time Lord in Doctor Who.
Yeah,
at the end of David Tennant's run.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Good episode. You need to watch that show if you don't.
Yeah.
It's especially those last episodes are good. Anyway, also Gavin Creel, Donna Murphy, and Eden Regal are as additional voices. Interesting.
Really?
The choices of those actors.
Yeah.
Isn't that very, very interesting?
It is.
I'm not going to go into why that's interesting.
Yeah, no. Don't.
No.
No.
But let's face it, I know who all these 3 people are.
The cat's already out of the bag.
No, even when you don't consider that cat being out of the bag.
Right.
It's like, I know when I saw that one scene, and I'll get to the rest of it in a minute. It's like,
yeah,
that's Mother Gothel. That's Matthews. That's the painter girl.
Yeah, exactly.
Whose name I can't remember.
Exactly.
Anyway, in this episode, Rapunzel and Eugene must traverse a deadly maze, and their guide through the labyrinth is none other than Vigor the Visionary, that stupid monkey.
Exactly.
In this episode, the 4th and final piece of the ancient scroll is retrieved, and it is restored at the end of this episode.
Mm-hmm.
There was my first edit in the trivia, by the way, because that trivia point went a little bit longer.
Yeah, it did.
It is revealed during this episode that Sugracha the Eternal, also known as Mrs. Sugarbee from Painter's Block, and Matthews, aka Tromus, and possibly Mother Gothel, once were the pupils of Lord Demantius until they betrayed him to free and serve their new master, Zantiri.
Yes!
Rapunzel mentioned the Demantius device that stopped the blizzard during the episode Queen for a Day, which released Mrs. Sugarbee, aka Sugracha the Eternal. It is the third time Rapunzel unleashes the protective shield from her hair following the episodes What the Hair and The Quest for Varian. This is the second episode of the series that Rapunzel, Eugene, Madame Cunartist, and Vigor are inside the fortune-telling wagon after Vigor the Visionary. Also, this is Pascal's only episode of the series to be inside the fortune-telling wagon, and it is his only time to meet Madame Cunartist and Vigor. No one else ever gets to meet these guys.
No, they don't.
Rapunzel granted Eugene a birthday at the beginning of the episode, where she gave him a makeshift cupcake and told him not to eat it.
Yeah.
Because that would kill him.
Yeah.
Rapunzel and Eugene do not wear their new outfits in this episode. The bronze graphic, Adira's Blackrock sword, and the spire make a cameo during this episode.
Really?
Cassandra appears only at the beginning and end of the episode, but doesn't have dialogue like during the episode Max's Enemy. And as I said earlier, it is implied that one of Lord Demantius' 3 pupils, who had ultimately double-crossed him to serve Zantiri, was Mother Gothel herself.
Yeah, over 1,000 years ago.
Makes sense considering how much she knew about the sun drop.
Exactly.
And I'd like to say one of the great things about this episode is how, we've mentioned Mother Gothel and Matthews and Painter Girl, whose name I'll never remember after I'm not reading it off of a screen.
Right.
We mentioned how they are they might be these characters.
Oh yeah.
But they do a good job of masking who these people are throughout this entire episode. You kind of know.
Oh yeah.
Because you do.
Yeah.
But they do a good job of masking and finally giving us some story. To actually bite into. It's like, here's what's been going on this whole time. And I enjoy this for this episode. The fact that I assumed for some reason Vigor the Visionary was a bad guy.
Yeah, okay.
I thought somehow he was under the control of Zantiri. Almost since the first time I saw him.
That makes
Because
sense.
the other 2 episodes that he is in, it always ends with Vigor staring Eugene down in a way that is unlike his appearance throughout the rest of those episodes.
Right.
Now, I get the feeling, based on some things I was spoiled on earlier this year, accidentally, that there might be a different reason for that than I initially thought.
Right.
But we will get there when we get there. The fact that while I still hate the character of Vigor the Visionary with a passion, the fact that they actually use him here in a good way, where it's like, I kind of do want to see you survive this, and maybe they'll find a way with Rapunzel's magic hair to, free you from this monkey trap dungeon or life you've given yourself to. But I'm also kind of makes sense. Like, no, this is the decision you made to hide yourself, and that's what you're stuck with. But at the same time, you really do kind of get the feel by the end of this episode that maybe he's not
all gone.
Like, maybe he could come back.
Possibly.
But I'm still curious about the character of Madame Cunartist. For one thing, we've mentioned that her name is a pun. I've pointed it out many times that her name is literally Madame Con Artist. That name is almost too punny to be real.
True.
To be her actual name in any way, shape, or form. So I wonder if maybe there's more to her than they've shown so far. I don't know if she shows back up. I don't know if Vigor shows back up. I assume in flashbacks we'll at least get to see more of Demantius, but I don't know this for certain.
Possibly.
But yeah, I this finally is starting to lay story groundwork that I have been wanting since season 1. Because both the first season and the second season did this thing where they had a episode dead center middle of the season that finally did something with what was going on. In the case of the first season, it was Queen for a Day, where it was a 2-part episode where we found out about actually it was the first time we actually heard the name Xantiri or what's his name? Demantius. So that launched story, and then they had a couple episodes peppered out through the rest of season 1, like Painter's Block and a couple of others that kind of was like pushing us towards, okay, here's some story. And then we got to season 2, and we get a little bit of stuff with the Blackrocks with Adira. And then for the most part, we've been kind of playing around for most of the second season until we got to Rapunzel and the Great Tree, 2-part episode, right at the end, right at at the end of the hiatus. And there's a couple, and once again, there's a couple episodes here as we're nearing the end of the season where we're actually pushing the story forward again. I'm afraid this pattern is going to continue into season 3, where we'll get a couple of episodes at the beginning where there's story, that's the part of the main story, and then we'll get about 5 or 6, maybe 7 episodes in a row where we're playing around again, just in different circumstances. We'll get another 2-part episode that will bring the story back into focus. We'll have 1 or 2 little, piddling things, and then they'll just throw like the rest of the story in at the very end.
Possibly.
I'm afraid that's the pattern. And a part of me is like, I understand having character specific filler episodes. I'm fine with that. But you still need to, okay. For instance, Freebird.
Okay.
Those are just 2 random people out in the forest, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
They have nothing to do with the story other than getting the characters to hang out together as birds.
Yeah, pretty much.
How much better would that have been if these were some of Xantiri's followers also? Maybe not direct followers, maybe following under Matthews.
Yeah.
Because you could have...
Agree. That makes sense.
You could have had Painter Lady be the villain for season 1.
Yeah.
And had her everyone working under her that was kind of getting it to this point.
Yeah.
And then maybe end have her episode where it is.
Yeah.
And then that will lead you towards Varian, because obviously Varian is going to be a major player going forward, even though we haven't seen him much this season because we haven't been in Corona. Right. He's still in jail. Second season, you could have Matthews be your main villain, and everything's leading to Matthews. Maybe what's his name from Rapunzel and the Great Tree? That bad guy.
Yeah,
he could have been working for her. The bird couple, they could have been working for him. Yeah, because admittedly, some of that magic feels like the magic from that point.
It does.
You could even have the Baron and Stallion, maybe not directly working for him, but working kind of have a connection back to him.
Yeah, I agree.
Have all of this combined into one story where it feels like this same group is attacking you every time you get a chance to go. But that's not what's happened.
Yeah.
What happened is, they've gone on journeys and most of them have been disconnected from each other, but that's all slowly moving towards the Black Rocks. And let's face it, there was a time where we were stuck on an island with no rocks on it, and we did nothing while we were there.
True.
In reality.
Right.
There was nice little couple character things, but one of the big character stories from that arc is completely gone now that one of the characters is gone from the show completely now. With Hookfoot.
Yeah.
And he's never showing back up anymore.
Yeah.
So it's like, that almost feels like a wasted episode because now Hookfoot's not part of the story. Granted, maybe they lost what they were doing with him and maybe the actors decided to he wasn't getting paid enough, or just was tired of the thing, or had to work on, or his schedule didn't work out. I don't know.
Yeah.
But at least I gave him a good out.
True.
I'll say that. But it really does feel like we've been, and don't get me wrong, I've enjoyed the show.
Okay.
Do not get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I am a little annoyed with the structure of the show, where it's goofy stuff that really leads nowhere for the first, or sorry, story at the beginning.
Right.
From from after the 2-parter till the halfway point, filler that does nothing for the story other than have nice things with the characters.
Right.
2-parter that brings us back to the story. Some episodes that really do move the story along, but you're still peppered through with some filler here and there. Then a 2-part episode to end the season that's heavily story focused. Then a 2-part episode that's heavily story focused to start the next season, and so on and so forth. That's what we've gotten.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit annoying.
Yeah, I agree.
That that pattern is there, because I want to feel like, I'm not saying I felt like I've wasted my time,
right?
But they've not done a good job of making me not feel I've wasted my time.
Fair enough.
Because so many of the people we've gone up against, or the things that we've dealt with, the things they've had to overcome. Well, I get it. It's still a kid's show. It's still meant to be a fun show. But it really does feel like we've not done enough to connect the plot of the overall story in with the individual plots of the individual episodes. That's really what I'm trying to get at.
Makes sense.
Now that I've nitpicked the show to death.
All right,
your turn.
Okay, so we've already gone over like the chunk of this episode,
yes,
and what it implies. The fact that Mother Gothel is implied to be
implied is such a nice word for what they did.
Yeah, it's not really implied. It's like
gee, these 3 characters in silhouette look awfully familiar, and it's interesting that they're voiced by the people who voiced them before.
True.
Who voiced these other characters. Isn't that interesting?
Yes. So going to the very end of our episode, going to the very end of the episode, where Vigor gives Eugene the little pearl on his head.
Yes, we do need to talk about that.
And you get the note, in which the note reads this:
at the end of Rapunzel's journey, one of her friends will betray her.
Yeah, one of her parties shall turn against her.
And they kind of linger on each person. I mean, Pascal doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but they kind of linger on each person. Like, gee, I wonder who is going to betray her. Why are we staying on Cassandra a little bit longer than everybody else? Why did the music change when it was her turn?
Right.
Oh, I know. It's the female horse that's going to betray Rapunzel.
Oh, yeah.
That's who it is.
Yeah, of course.
That's the traitor.
Of course.
The horse whose name I'll never remember. Because she has nothing to do with the story. She's there because it wouldn't make sense to have Max pull the caravan by himself.
True. He needs a partner in crime. That is so true.
And poor Max has had so very little to do this season besides pull that caravan. He's had one episode.
True. Poor
That's
Max.
all he had.
True.
He didn't even get to do anything fun in the rest of the episodes outside of, going after the happiness totem at one point, like everybody else was doing that episode.
True.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, just like that whole thing. It's like, it has like Eugene, like, oh my gosh, who's going to betray me? Like, and they kind of imply it could be Cassandra.
It could be heavily implied.
Heavily implied.
It's like, gee. Okay, I'm going to touch on this. I've brought this up before, but I'm going to touch on this.
Okay.
We know one person from this group is going to betray Rapunzel.
Yes, we do.
We know, I've said from episode 1, from Rapunzel's, from Before Ever After.
Yeah.
That I had a theory that Cassandra was the biological daughter of Mother Gothel.
Right.
Why did I say that? Well, she looks like her.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't the character who looks like the villain from the movie, that they visually focus the camera on for longer than they did everybody else,
right,
and have the music get that sour tone to it? It's like, da, 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 kind of a thing.
Yeah.
It's like, Boy, you people are not subtle. Y'all don't even know what subtle means. I thought y'all were not being subtle when you showed the silhouettes of these 3 obvious characters we've seen before. Even though one of them was so old, I didn't remember who her name was and had to look up her name and still can't remember it now, even though I've said her name 3 times. I just know her as Painter Lady. And you even hired her back to do the voice. Good job. But I thought that was not subtle. This is even less subtle. It's like,
yeah, agreed.
Boy, you are really hitting it home for the children in the back who still aren't going to understand.
It's a wink, wink, wink,
wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Let's face it. I already know Cassandra's going to betray Rapunzel. This episode tells us that.
Yeah.
They don't tell us how she's going to do that.
Right.
And let's face it, I have seen pictures of Cassandra from season 3.
Right.
That's all I'm going to say.
Right.
It was not something I was going out looking for.
Right.
It hits me, and it's like, why didn't I get you to look trivia up for this instead of me looking for it?
Why didn't you?
Why didn't I think of that 2 years ago when we started this? But
anyways, so I think
that brings us to the end of the episode.
I think so.
So yeah, next time we are reviewing the 2-part episode
Destinies Collide.
Destinies Collide.
1 and 2.
Yes, we will be reviewing that next week. So join us then as we finish season 2, 2 years after we started this show. We started covering
Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure.
Right. I am looking forward to seeing where this goes because it feels like the show is just now finally getting really good. And I'm just afraid it's about to trip over itself and we'll be back down in the filler episodes again. But anyway, we'll see. We'll get there when we get there. So join us next time for that. In the meantime, this has been Drew.
This is Jacob.
And we'll catch you in the next frame.
You can follow Jacob on his Facebook at Jacob B. Heron. His Facebook page, Jacob's Daily Art Corner, where he tries to draw each and every day. His Instagram at Jacob B. Heron. His Twitter at Jacob Heron. And his Letterboxd at Jacob Heron. You can find Drew on Facebook at Drew Dodgen. His Facebook page, Drew's Photo Bin, to see his photography. His Letterboxd page at GGeorge759. His Twitter at GGeorge759. And Instagram at Drew Dodgen. You can like us on Facebook at the Cellcast Podcast, on Twitch at the Cellcast Gaming, on YouTube at Cellcast, on Twitter at cast_cell. The Cellcast can be found at Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or anywhere else fine podcasts are downloaded from. Please rate and review us where you found us, and also on Podchaser. Email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com. The Cellcast is a proud member of both the Pop Americana and Culture Box media networks. For more information, please see the link in the description. Our theme song is Drop and Roll by Silent Partner. And remember, that's Cell with a single L.